Chapter 184. Why is there no movement? The pressure of the approaching storm was really unbearable. One of the young warriors was so nervous that he tried to cheer himself up. "Don't talk." The long-blade martial school elder next to him glared at him. Without making a sound, the greenish-red vines drilled out of the ground, instantly tearing apart the elder's protective true energy and piercing into his body. The surface of the arm-thick vines would sway from time to time, as if large masses of flesh and blood were being sent into the elder's body. Seeing himself turn into a bag of bones, the elder could no longer stay calm. He opened his mouth and let out a blood-curdling scream. In the next second, the battle formation was completely messed up. "There's a vine coming out of the ground. Damn it. It's under my body. Help. Help me." Screams and screams spread out one after another in this area. Despair flooded everyone's mind like a flood. Many of them felt that their hands and feet were numb, and they couldn't even breathe. The long-blade martial school's leader was called Li Yuan. He clenched his fists, took a deep breath, and shouted coldly, "Split into groups of 10, spread out, and form a small battle formation. If you see a vine, chop it down as hard as you can. If you kill one, you'll have a higher chance of survival." Within this short period of time, more than 30 people had died, and 1/3 of them were killed by their own people. If this situation continued, everyone would collapse. In front of despair and fear, Li Yuan's words were not very effective. Except for a small number of people who followed his orders, most of the people had already fallen into a state of madness. Whenever they saw something approaching them, they would swing their blades at it with bloodshot eyes. The weakness of human beings was clearly shown at this moment. "I can't take it anymore. I want to leave. I want to leave this damn place. If this goes on, we'll all die." As more and more people died, some of the younger warriors finally collapsed. They desperately separated themselves from the crowd and ran as far as they could. If there was one, there would be a second. It was like a virus that spread like wildfire, and no one could stop it. These people didn't even manage to run far before they were sucked dry by the vines. Their protective Zhen Qi was as fragile as a piece of tofu, easily broken by a single poke. "Leader, if this goes on, we'll all die. We'd better run. It's better to let as many as we can escape than to be wiped out." All of the elders of the Long-Blade Martial School were clasping Yuan realm martial artists, and their protective Zhen Qi was exceptionally strong. However, the attacks of the vines were way too frequent and weird, and they always targeted the areas where the protective Zhen Qi was the weakest. By now, 2 to 3 elders had already died, and the other elders couldn't help but yell out. Li Yuan was a peak-level late clasping Yuan realm martial artist. With the help of his protective Zhen Qi, he had managed to cut a lot of vines. However, at that moment, even though he wanted to, he did not have the strength to do so. There were more and more vines coming at him. Every time he cut one, more would attack him. His face was gloomy and pale. His voice contained true energy transmitted outwards. "Everyone, retreat. Don't panic." Just as he finished speaking, an elder said in a trembling voice, "Sect Master, we can't escape. There are vines everywhere outside. We've been surrounded. Damn it. Is the Long-Blade Martial School going to perish here today?" Li Yuan and the other elders couldn't help but think pessimistically. "They're attacking. Oh my God." Countless greenish-red vines moved like snakes, covering the sky and covering the earth. Everywhere they passed, cultivators fell to the ground, their bodies sucked dry until only skin and bones remained. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. For the first time in his life, Li Yuan felt so powerless. Right now, he only had one thought in his mind, which was to kill as many vines as possible. With him as the center, sharp blade qi spread out, shredding the greenish-red vines one after another. Yi Chen didn't care about the situation of the Long-Blade Martial School anymore, because he had also been discovered by tens of vines. These vines didn't have eyes or noses, only a mouth. However, they seemed to have very sharp senses, easily discovering the weak spots of Yi Chen's protective Zhen Qi. Ji Hao unsheathed his dragon spring sword and cut 3 vines in half, sending a greenish-red juice splashing everywhere. "Fortunately, I've cultivated the great mystery art to the 9th level, and the quality and quantity of my Zhenqi has already surpassed the Zhenqi cultivated with a low-rank Earth Realm martial art. Besides, I'm wearing a low-rank light armor, which can increase my defensive power by more than 10%. With these two factors added together, my defensive power is almost equal to that of a peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. While moving swiftly, Yi Chen cut the vines one after another, feeling a bit lucky. Soon, tens of vines were cut off one after another, but none of them could hurt Yi Chen. However, Yi Chen's eyebrows were knitted even more tightly. Probably because the vines had sensed that Yi Chen was a huge threat, countless vines had gathered over from all directions, gradually surrounding Yi Chen, leaving no space for him to escape. Yi Chen's expression didn't change. As long as he was protected by the sword intent, all kinds of negative emotions wouldn't be able to affect him, only making him calmer. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. When launching sneak attacks, the vines wouldn't make even the slightest sound. However, when launching a frontal attack, the vines' attacking speed had been raised to a whole new level, and they darted towards Yi Chen as fast as lightning. Swirling clouds. The dragon spring sword released an arc-shaped stream of sword chi, which rose straight up, twisting the airflow and forming a light blue tornado, shrouding Yi Chen. Puff, puff, puff. All the vines that were attacking Yi Chen were shredded into pieces by the tornado, and from time to time, a thick stream of sword chi darted out and cut off large amounts of vines. Pop! The tornado was suddenly penetrated, and a dark red vine darted towards Yi Chen. This tornado is mixed with Zhenqi, and can even cut steel into pieces when rotating at a high speed. However, this dark red vine was able to penetrate through it, which means it's much harder than ordinary cyan and red vines. This seems to be bad. As this thought flashed across his mind, Yi Chen swung his sword towards the dark red vine. With the help of his sword intent, the dark red vine wasn't indestructible, and was easily cut into pieces. However, in the next moment, Yi Chen discovered that new ends of the dark red vine were growing out from the broken ends of the vine, and the sharp fangs were densely covered in a spiral shape. I can't stay here for long. After cutting off the dark red vine once again, Yi Chen activated his great mystery Zhenqi with all of his power and infused it into the tornado, moving deeper into the jungle. The dark red vine followed closely behind, while the other cyan and red vines crazily blocked the tornado, trying to stop Yi Chen from moving forward. Yi Chen sneered, and controlled the tornado to attack. Under the attack of the tornado, the vines were torn apart one after another, and the ground was covered with layers and layers of cyan and red vines. Yi Chen walked deeper and deeper into the jungle, and it seemed like there was no end to it. With the help of the pellet that could instantly replenish his Zhenqi, Yi Chen was not in a hurry. He waited until the tornado weakened, and then performed the swirling wind and broken clouds again, moving forward. Damn it! What the hell is this? Qin Hao was completely surrounded by the greenish-red vines. Although his body-protecting Zhenqi could temporarily save his life, his Zhenqi was being consumed at an extremely fast speed. In just half an hour, he had already swallowed 3 Zhenqi recovery pills. Shoo! A dark red vine that was as thick as a calf shot towards him. Crack! The vine was shattered by the vacuum giant palm, but soon, it recovered completely. No, I have to get out of here. This jungle is way too dangerous. The consumption of Zhenqi is not proportional to the recovery speed. I will die here sooner or later. Qin Hao was extremely annoyed. He had just escaped from the wind wolf, and now he was surrounded by cyan and red vines. Ever since he had entered the 100,000 mountain range, nothing had gone smoothly. Fortunately, he was not too far away from the jungle, so he should be able to get out of here. The vacuum giant palm burst out, and Qin Hao opened up a bloody path, rushing back the way he had come. Right at that moment, a big tree not far away from him was suddenly smashed in the middle, and a huge figure appeared in front of him. If it was not the wind wolf, what else could it be? A man and a beast were facing each other, but they did not notice that there was a purple gas spreading down from the sky. This gas was like a living creature, twisting and wriggling, and its color was extremely bright. Shoo! A huge hole appeared on Qin Hao's protective Zhenqi, and the flesh and blood on that part were quickly corroded into ashes. The wind wolf in front of him was not any better. The purple gas was obviously the bone-corroding miasma above the jungle. When the big tree was smashed, the extremely heavy bone-corroding miasma sank down and spread out. "I don't want to die like this." Qin Hao opened his mouth and roared out. Soon, his body was corroded into ashes. The wind wolf was extremely powerful, and it was surprisingly not killed by the bone-corroding miasma. Howling, it rushed back the way it came from. However, soon, its body became shorter, and was corroded into ashes bit by bit. There was not even a trace of it left. It was even more horrifying than the vines in the jungle. The purple gas did not sink too much, and after it had spread to a certain area, it stopped expanding. Furthermore, the huge trees nearby were slowly absorbing the purple gas, and then releasing it out from the top of the trees, merging into the air above the jungle. A special balance had been formed between the two. In the middle of the jungle, Yi Chen raised his head and saw a mountain that was over 1,000 meters high. The front part of the mountain was protruding like a nose, and the two sides of the mountain were weirdly extending upwards, looking like the horns of a goat. Goat Head Mountain. It is indeed here. The vines were still chasing after Yi Chen. No one knew how long they were, or how many there were. Yi Chen kept killing the vines while rushing towards the nose of the mountain. When he got closer, Yi Chen found out that it was a huge cave. It was opened like a goat's mouth, and it was pitch black inside. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. "Let's go in first." Dispersing the tornado, Yi Chen's body flashed and disappeared into the mouth of the goat. The vines behind him followed him in like a tide. With his powerful soul power, Yi Chen could see the darkness as nothing. He smoothly went into the deep part of the cave, avoiding all the obstacles around him. There are stairs here. It seems like it was indeed made by someone. On the left side, Yi Chen found a secret staircase, which was curved and extended upwards. At first glance, it seemed to be a bit narrow and crowded. Yi Chen put a Zhenqi replenishing pellet into his mouth, and pushed up his Zhenqi layer with all of his strength, jumping up. Right then, the vines behind him seemed to be hesitating. They wanted to chase after Yi Chen, but they were also hesitating. Shoo, shoo, shoo. After a long while, countless vines gradually retracted, and stopped chasing after Yi Chen. Chapter 185. The second floor was no longer pitch black. Countless luminous stones on the walls were emitting a soft light, brightening up the whole space. Once inside, even with Yi Chen's state of mind, he could not help but take a deep breath. So much wealth. That's right, it was indeed a lot of wealth, because the second floor did not have only one thing, but all of them were very valuable. Everywhere he looked, there were boxes of gold casually piled up. Each box could contain 100,000 gold, and there were hundreds of boxes here, which added up to tens of millions of gold, which was comparable to the wealth of a mid-level family. Next to the boxes filled with gold were boxes of jewelry, including rubies, emeralds, top-quality agates, crystal necklaces, black pearls, emeralds, and jade, each of which was worth thousands of gold. The total value seemed to be no less than the hundreds of boxes of gold. Although gold and jewelry were easy to obtain for warriors, once it reached a certain amount, it would still be shocking. Most of the warriors would not be able to earn that much gold in their entire lives. Plus, the difference was that they earned it bit by bit and did not feel like it was a big deal. However, Yi Chen had just obtained such a huge amount of wealth all of a sudden. "Let's put it away first." Yi Chen waved his hand, and the boxes of gold and jewelry flew up into the air, falling into the storage ring. Yeah. The low-rank storage ring is full. These boxes were too big, there were 500 of them in total, and the low-rank storage ring was only 1/10 full. Fortunately, Yi Chen still had a few low-rank storage rings and one mid-rank storage ring. After taking all the gold and jewelry, Yi Chen's eyes fell on the ground next to him. There were boxes of low-rank soul stones and a lot of mid-rank soul stones. A shocking amount of yuan qi from the soul stones gathered in the air, forming images of dragons, tigers, phoenixes, and tortoises. 100 boxes of low-rank soul stones, 5 boxes of mid-rank soul stones, each box contains 10,000. Yi Chen's breathing sped up. The gold and jewelry had only slightly surprised him, but the amount of soul stones had shocked him. He was sure that the Sky Cloud Martial School's 10 years of savings would not even have 1,000,000 low-rank soulstones, not to mention 50,000 mid-rank soulstones. Keep. Without saying a word, Yi Chen put them all into his storage ring. With over 600 chests gone, the space on the second floor suddenly became much wider. Looking around, all the other treasures could be seen. There were 3 gourds of pills. The gourd was filled with qi replenishing pills. The gourd contained essence replenishing pills. The gourd was filled with spirit replenishing pills. The 3 kinds of dans were auxiliary dans that could enhance the human body's essence, qi, and spirit. They didn't seem to be of much use, but they could double the speed of a martial artist's cultivation. It should be known that the so-called innate talent was actually the exuberance of essence, qi, and spirit. Therefore, those with innate talent would be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort when cultivating Jin Qi. For example, Yi Chen's spirit, which was his soul force, was very strong. His comprehension was far beyond ordinary people, and his cultivation speed of martial arts was inconceivably fast. If his essence and qi could keep up, then his cultivation speed of Jin Qi would reach the level of innate talent. Of course, during this period, he couldn't stop taking the supplement Qi Dan and supplement Essence Dan. There are 300 dans in one gourd. If I take one every 3 days, I can use it for almost 900 days. In Yi Chen's eyes, these 3 gourds of pills were priceless treasures. In fact, they were indeed priceless treasures. If he took them out for auction, even astral-reaching realm martial artists would be tempted, or even go crazy. It should be known that the methods of making pills were usually in the hands of the big martial institutions, and the top-level pills were in the hands of the super martial institutions. An innocent man's wealth will get him into trouble. These 3 gourds of pills are enough to make an astral-reaching realm martial artist kill me. Putting the gourd into his storage ring, Yi Chen thought to himself. He walked to the corner, where there was a bookshelf. On the bookshelf were secret manuals. On the top floor were top-rank mortal realm secret manuals, 36 in total. Below that were low-rank earth realm secret manuals, 9 in total. Below that were 3 mid-rank earth realm secret manuals. And at the bottom was a high-rank earth realm secret manual. Without reading it, Yi Chen put it away. He planned to read it when he had the time. Even if he read it now, he wouldn't have the time to cultivate. Woo! Letting out a heavy breath, Yi Chen looked around. The second floor had been cleaned out by him, and nothing was left. Let's go to the 3rd floor. His body flashed, Yi Chen flew towards the stairs. Unexpectedly, the 3rd floor was completely empty. There was only a door of light standing in the center, emitting a fine light. Standing in front of the light door, Yi Chen was a little surprised. He didn't know where this light door would transport him to. The unknown always made people hesitate, and Yi Chen was no exception. It took me a lot of effort to find this place. If I don't go in, I will regret it. Making up his mind, Yi Chen stepped into the light door. Woo! The space rippled like water, and the next second, Yi Chen disappeared into the light door. Having experienced teleportation once, Yi Chen was much calmer this time, and his mind was calm. After a moment, or maybe a day or 2, Yi Chen's body relaxed, and he found himself in a magnificent stone room. The stone room didn't have a door, and was surrounded by walls. On the ceiling was a shining crystal lamp, and below the crystal lamp was a stone table. On the stone table, a 4-arm-length huge key was floating. The key was white, as if it was made from a white crystal, and looked very simple and unadorned. So strange, there's such a big key here. Yi Chen reached out his hand, trying to grab the key, but found that there was an invisible force around the key, and it seemed to be impregnable. Break. Activating all of his Jin Qi, Yi Chen clenched his palm into a fist and punched the air. Dong. The invisible force didn't disperse, and instead, the huge counterforce made Yi Chen's feet leave the ground, and he was sent flying backwards, nearly crashing into the wall of the stone room. With a cold look, Yi Chen pulled out the dragon spring sword, and released 4 streams of sword qi in a row. The sword qi shot out, and thunder roared. However, in the next moment, the sword qi was also bounced back with an even stronger force. Waving his sword and shattering the reflected sword qi, Yi Chen let out a bitter smile. Although he knew that the white key could be very useful, he couldn't get it with his current power. Temporarily giving up on the key, Yi Chen looked around the entire stone room. There was also a stone table in the corner, on which a plain jade slip was placed. Yi Chen waved his hand, and this time, there was no strange invisible force, and the jade slip was easily sucked into his hand. However, after looking through the jade slip for a while, Yi Chen didn't find any special function. After thinking for a while, he injected his Jin Qi into it. All of a sudden, an image appeared in Ji Hao's mind. On the ground, there was a 100-meter-tall beast with a pair of horns on its head, roaring. It opened its mouth and blew a huge mountain away. Then, it stamped its foot on the ground, and the ground split open. Lava spurted out from the cracks, dyeing the sky red. This beast was so powerful that it had never been seen or heard of before. Perhaps, only life and death realm warriors could be this powerful. Just when the beast pulled out a thousands of jong tall mountain, a stone pillar-like finger appeared in the air. The finger moved like a shooting star, and pointed at the beast's forehead. Bang! The beast's body exploded, and disappeared. While Yi Chen was still in shock, that finger was pointing at his forehead. There was no way for him to escape, and there was no way for him to retreat. All of a sudden, Yi Chen felt like his head was about to explode. Countless messy information flooded his brain, and soon, all of these messy information combined into a text and a martial exercise map. It turned out that this finger art was called the void-shattering finger art. However, what was taught to Yi Chen was not the complete void-shattering finger art, but the third movement. According to Yi Chen's understanding, only this one movement was already extremely powerful. That beast had the power of a life and death realm warrior, but it still couldn't handle the power of this finger art. Of course, he also knew that without enough power, even if he learned this finger art to its fullest, he still wouldn't be able to kill an astral-reaching realm warrior, not to mention that horrifying beast. For a warrior, no matter how powerful a martial skill was, he still needed the power to activate it. Otherwise, it would just be an empty shell, since cultivation was the most important thing. Besides the training method for the third movement of the void-shattering finger art, the information also told him that if he wanted to break through the invisible force outside of the white key, he would need to learn a little bit of the void-shattering finger art. Just a little bit would be enough, and he didn't need much. The time limit was 3 days. After 3 days, he would be teleported back, and he would never get the white key again. 3 days. Let me try. Yi Chen sat on the ground with his legs crossed, and started to study the mysterious third movement of the void-shattering finger art. 1 day later, Yi Chen pointed out his finger, and the air twisted instantly, making a popping sound. Shaking his head, Yi Chen closed his eyes and continued to study. On the second day, Yi Chen opened his eyes and slowly pointed out his finger. Pooh! The invisible force around the white key released a light ripple, but soon, it disappeared completely, and everything went back to normal. Still not working. Only 1 more day left. Yi Chen forced a smile at first, then performed his sword intent to cut off all the distracting thoughts. He sank his mind into the study of the void-shattering finger art. From time to time, he would recall the scene of that huge finger shattering the beast. Time passed by bit by bit. Yi Chen's eyebrows would stretch and frown from time to time. Within that short period of time, it was hard to tell how many times they had changed. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, a wave of horrifying qi suddenly spread out from Yi Chen's body. He suddenly opened both of his eyes. His pupils were chaotic, and no one could tell how deep they were. Break. Using all of his power, Yi Chen pointed out his finger at the invisible force. Boom. The invisible force was finally shattered. No, more accurately, it was broken. The power of the void-shattering finger art was still not as powerful as the sword qi. However, the invisible force was closely related to the void-shattering finger art, which was why it was able to break the invisible force. Studying the void-shattering finger art was extremely exhausting. Yi Chen wiped the sweat off his forehead, then took out a qi replenishing pill, a spirit replenishing pill, and a spirit replenishing pill, and put them into his mouth. After resting for a while, Yi Chen walked to the white key. The key was the size of a forearm, with an ancient character 4 written on the front. Other than that, there was nothing special about it, and it did not cause any changes. The moment Yi Chen picked up the white key, a light door appeared in the stone room. The light door was faintly visible, and seemed like it could disappear at any second. Not daring to stay any longer, Yi Chen put the white key back into his pocket, then flashed into the light door. When he reappeared, Yi Chen had returned to the second layer of the Goathead Mountain. Along with a buzzing sound, the light door in the middle of the second layer disappeared completely. It would be impossible for him to enter the stone room again in the future. No one knew where the stone room was, or if there were any other places in the stone room. When he was about to walk down to the next layer, Yi Chen slightly frowned. His soul power had sensed that there were two people in the next layer. These two people were none other than Murong Qingcheng and Qi Shaofeng. Why are they here? For a moment, Yi Chen was confused. Chapter 186. In the pitch-black first floor, Murong Qingcheng and Qi Shaofeng were surrounded by countless cyan-red vines, and couldn't move even an inch. The ground around them was covered in broken pieces of vines. I've taken hundreds of Zhenqi replenishing pills in the past 3 days. Now my Zhenqi has become extremely turbid, and I only have less than 30% of my power left. Qi Shaofeng smiled bitterly. Medicinal pills were indeed good, but they couldn't be taken too often, especially Zhenqi replenishing pills. Taking 10 pills a day was already the limit. If one took more than 10 pills, his Zhenqi would become turbid and unstable, and his fighting power would be greatly reduced. In the future, he would have to temper his Zhenqi more often, otherwise, there might be some side effects. This was why most of the martial artists wouldn't take medicinal pills to replenish their Zhenqi unless they were in a critical situation. Murong Qingcheng frowned. She had been practicing the Great Sky Devil art, which was a top-rank Earth Realm martial art, and her Zhenqi was twice as much as Qi Shaofeng's. However, during the past 3 days, she had taken almost 40 Zhenqi replenishing pills, and now she only had 60 to 70% of her power left. If not for the Great Sky Devil art and the Sky Devil power field, she would have been sucked dry by those vines long ago. Break. The Sky Devil power field was activated, and a large number of cyan-red vines were twisted and shattered, clearing up an empty space, but soon, more vines filled up the space. Great Sky Devil palm print. For 3 days in a row, Murong Qingcheng hadn't slept a wink, and had been fighting non-stop. No matter how strong her mental state was, she was starting to get annoyed. She launched the Great Sky Devil martial art, the Great Sky Devil palm print. As soon as she launched her palm print, all the vines within hundreds of meters in front of her were lifted into the air, and couldn't move anymore. Then, with a loud bang, they all disappeared. Go. Let's go. The air twisted, and Murong Qingcheng was the first one to shoot towards the stairs leading to the second floor. What a powerful palm print! Qi Shaofeng didn't dare to hesitate, and followed closely behind Murong Qingcheng. Kaca, Kaca, Kaca. The ground in front of the stairs cracked, and suddenly, hundreds of dark red vines broke out from the ground, blocking their way. These dark red vines were as thick as calves, and lined up like a dark red wall, giving off a great pressure. I'm afraid I'm going to die here. The previous Sky Devil's great palm print had drained most of Murong Qingcheng's true qi, and the pill she had swallowed earlier was too slow in recovering her true qi. It was impossible to replenish her true qi in an instant. Wanting to break through the blockade of hundreds of dark red vines was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The dark red vine's speed was far faster than the cyan and red vines, and it was about to hit the two's protective Zhenqi in an instant. With their current strength, they would definitely die. Kai 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 kai. Suddenly, a tornado swept past, blasting the dark red vines to the side, then wrapped around the two of them and rushed out. It's you. Murong Qingcheng didn't break free from Yi Chen's grasp and let him hug her. She looked a little surprised. Yi Chen looked at the green and red vines that were torn apart by the tornado, and said lightly, "How did you get here?" He suspected that the two of them had followed him. Qi Shaofeng explained, "Murong and I were looking for a magic herb, but we were forced into this jungle by the lunar wind wolf." I see. Yi Chen was still a little suspicious, but he kept a calm expression on his face. Are you suspecting us? Asked Murong Qingcheng. That's not important. What's important is to get out of here. If the two of them were in their best condition, Yi Chen wouldn't have saved them. After all, both of them were more powerful than him, and their movement skills were also better than his. If they joined hands, they could kill him 10 times over. No matter what, I'll remember this favor. Murong Qingcheng didn't say another word. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The dark red vines had caught up with them. With the intensity of their attacks, they were more than powerful enough to penetrate the tornado and tear apart the protective zhenqi of the three of them. Put your arms around my waist, said Yi Chen. Murong Qingcheng hesitated for a second, but when she saw the dark red vines chasing after them, she did as she was told and put her arms around Yi Chen's waist. Seeing this, Qi Xiaofeng's facial expression slightly froze. With his right hand free, Yi Chen pulled out the dragon spring sword, and without even turning his head around, he launched another large-scale attack of the shocking cloud sword art, lightning flashing and thunder rumbling. Along with a series of thunderous booms, tens of sword lights darted out. Along with a series of puffing sounds, the dark red vines that were chasing after them were all cut into pieces, but soon, they grew out again and continued chasing after the tornado, which was still far away. In the jungle, this was the 5th time that Yi Chen had launched the swirling winds and clouds, and had consumed a lot of his zhenqi. Without any intention to avoid arousing suspicion, Yi Chen put a pill into his mouth, which could instantly replenish his zhenqi. Murong Qingcheng and Qi Xiaofeng didn't care too much about it. In their eyes, the pill Yi Chen had just swallowed was just an ordinary pill, and if he used too much of it, his zhenqi would still be weak. However, they were still a bit confused as to why Yi Chen's power was still at its peak. Could it be that he hadn't been attacked by the vines before, and thus had only taken a few pills? That was the only possible explanation. And it was precisely because of this that Yi Chen took the pellet without any hesitation. Rumble. The tornado rolled the three of them up and flew at an incredible speed. Under Yi Chen's control, the tornado was also incredibly agile, easily avoiding all kinds of obstacles. Brother Yi, this sword art of yours is really amazing, it can even wrap people up in it. Qi Xiaofeng couldn't help but praise. Yi Chen smiled, but didn't explain that he had adapted the swirling winds and clouds. The jungle was the base of the man-eating vines, and many dark red vines and cyan red vines had surrounded them. Star-shattering cut. Sky Devil force field. Although Murong Qingcheng and Qi Xiaofeng weren't as powerful as Yi Chen, they still had some of their powers left. They both launched their special skills and started killing those vines. Yi Chen was quite happy, but the remaining power of the two still surprised him a bit, especially Murong Qingcheng, who was still more powerful than Lin Yu. Fortunately, Yi Chen clearly understood the consequences of swallowing too many pills. Without a couple of months of hard work, he wouldn't be able to recover to his peak state. Soon, the three of them were not far away from the edge of the jungle. Chem. Suddenly, Yi Chen frowned. What's wrong? Asked Murong Qingcheng. A powerful living being is chasing us from under the ground, it's moving at an amazing speed. Soul power couldn't penetrate too deep into the ground, therefore, Yi Chen didn't know what that powerful living being was, but he didn't doubt its power. What should we do now? Just when they were about to leave this dangerous place, another wave of danger came. Both Murong Qingcheng and Qi Xiaofeng were instantly thrown into confusion. Yi Chen took a deep breath and said, I have a way to get out, but it'll cost me a lot. What kind of cost? I'll compensate you. Qi Xiaofeng said without hesitation. A yuan light ball. Yuan light ball? Qi Xiaofeng was surprised. He had heard about this kind of extremely rare life-saving treasure. It was said that it could block any attack launched by any martial artist under the astral reaching realm. To clasping Yuan realm martial artists, a Yuan light ball was even more precious than a mid-rank great weapon, or even a high-rank great weapon. After all, the latter couldn't guarantee their lives, but the Yuan light ball could. I'll compensate you with 100,000 low-rank and 3,000 mid-rank stones. Murong Qingcheng also said, I'll compensate you with 200,000 low-rank and 3,000 mid-rank stones. Originally, both of them didn't have so many spirit stones, but they had earned quite a lot from the ancient inherited land that only happened once every 10 years. Just like Yi Chen, He had gained so many treasures and exchanged them for the institution. Seeing Yi Chen's indifference, Qi Xiaofeng said, "Brother Yi, do you think it's not enough? All these soul stones were equivalent to the savings of 10 or even dozens of inner elders. Normal clasping Yuan realm warriors would not even dare to think about it. Not everyone could be like them, who could enter the ancient inheritance place and gain so many treasures from it." Yi Chen said, "Yuan light ball is a life-saving treasure for me. If I use it this time, I won't have it next time. Nothing is more important than my life." Qi Xiaofeng was speechless. What Murong Qingcheng said made sense. If he were in Murong Qingcheng's shoes, he wouldn't be satisfied either. Murong Qingcheng said, "What about a mid-rank storage ring?" Murong. Qi Xiaofeng was surprised. Murong Qingcheng shook her head and said, "Worldly possessions are worldly possessions after all. Brother Yi, you're right, worldly possessions are nothing compared to life." Yi Chen was shocked. Murong Qingcheng actually had a mid-rank storage ring, which was priceless. After all, a low-rank storage ring was only as big as a room, while a mid-rank storage ring was as big as a grand hall. The difference between the two was 10 times, and the value of a mid-rank storage ring was 100 times higher. Right now, he was in need of a mid-rank storage ring. Those 600 chests of gold, jewelry, and spirit stones had taken up all of his low-rank storage rings, and his mid-rank storage ring was only left with 2/3 of its space, which might not be enough in the future. All right, deal. Yi Chen understood that this was their limit, not to mention that even if he left them behind, that terrifying creature might not let him go, and might even use the Yuan light ball in the end. Soon, the two of them gave the promised compensation to Yi Chen. The method was very simple. When the storage ring was fully activated, a light screen would appear, and the things that were thrown into the light screen would be put into the storage ring, without having to go through the ring's hand. Boom. Right at this moment, a large area of the ground behind them collapsed, and a gigantic human-shaped monster crawled out of the ground. It was over 100 meters tall, and its body was connected to numerous vines. Some were cyan red, some were dark red, and some were purple red, which they had never seen before. The man-eating vine mother had appeared. Seeing this, the three of them gasped. They suspected that even the Yuan light ball might not be able to block this attack. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Countless vines flew towards the three of them. Among them, the purple-red vines were the rarest, but they were indeed the fastest. They had already broken the speed of sound, flashed across the air, and pierced through the tornado, reaching less than 3 feet away from the three of them. Pop! The purple-red vines were blocked, and a layer of blue light screen appeared around the three of them. The light screen was a foot thick, with blue streams of air constantly rotating within it. The defense of the light screen was amazing. What was even more frightening was that the purple-red vines had penetrated 1/3 of the light screen, and were even more powerful than the Wind Wolf. Chapter 187. If we weren't protected by this light shield, this attack would have killed us 10 times over. Qi Xiaofeng felt lucky, and the dissatisfaction he had towards Yi Chen was gone. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. Carrying the two of them, Yi Chen tapped the ground with his foot and darted towards the outer edge of the jungle. Pop, 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 pop. The purple-red vines hit on the light shield from time to time, and each attack was powerful enough to break 1/3 of the light shield. Many times, the vines hit on the same spot. Fortunately, the defensive power inside the light shield wasn't static, it was constantly moving, and the damaged parts would be repaired in the next moment, keeping the entire light shield in an absolutely balanced state. Seeing that the purple-red vines couldn't break the light shield, the mother vine opened its mouth and let out a thigh-thick, dark purple vine. This vine moved as fast as lightning, and only let out a thunderous boom after it had darted miles away. It was actually a few times faster than the speed of sound. Sky Devil Great Palm. At this moment of life and death, Murong Qingcheng once again launched an extremely powerful martial skill. Her slim palm struck towards the air along with an ocean-like power. Boom! In front of her palm, all the objects within hundreds of meters were lifted into the air and turned into nothingness. Although that dark purple vine wasn't damaged, it seemed to have fallen into a swamp, and started slowing down. From 3 times faster than the speed of sound, it slowed down to 2 times faster than the speed of sound, and then from 2 times faster to 1 time faster than the speed of sound. With blood gushing out from the corner of her mouth, Murong Qingcheng said to Yi Chen, "This is all I can do, the rest is up to you." "Don't worry." Yi Chen nodded. His soul power spread out in 2 directions, one was the entrance in front of him, and the other one was the movements of the man-eating vines behind him. After half a day of running, they were getting closer and closer to the outer entrance, and there were only 10 miles left. A dim light flashed on his storage ring, and a red light fireball appeared in his hand. This red light fireball was given to him by the demon child Lung Wuqing. There were 3 of them in total, and they were extremely powerful. They could even injure a mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. However, right now, mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artists were no longer a threat to Yi Chen, so there was no point for him to keep them. With a flick of his finger, the Scarlet Fusion Fireball drew a beautiful arc in the air and landed 3 feet away from Yi Chen. If one looked closely, one would notice that the Scarlet Fusion Fireball was only a hair's breadth away from the light barrier. At this time, Yi Chen shouted, "Explode!" Rumble. The blazing flame exploded, but the powerful force did not shatter the light shield. Instead, it caused the light shield to speed up and shoot into the distance like a meteor. "Good idea." Qi Xiaofeng and Murong Qingcheng's eyes brightened. Before, they thought that Yi Chen was just lucky, but now, they didn't think so anymore. In such a dangerous situation, he could actually stay so calm, and think of using an external force to increase his speed. Compared to him, they were much more stupid, and only knew how to solve problems with violence. Using the same method, Yi Chen exploded the remaining 2 Scarlet Fusion Fireballs one after another. Instantly, his speed was boosted to an unimaginable level. Wherever he passed by, the air would twist intensely, and strong gusts of wind would bring up layers of earth waves, following closely behind the light shield. Pop! The dark purple vine finally recovered from the image of the Sky Devil palm, and once again reached 3 times the speed of sound, chasing after them. 5 miles. 3 miles. 1 mile. Within dozens of blinks of an eye, the dark purple vine had shortened from 5 miles to 1 mile, and was once again approaching Yi Chen, Murong Qingcheng and Murong Qingcheng. Success or failure depends on this. Yi Chen kept moving, as if the dark purple vine was nothing to him. After a blink of an eye, the dark purple vine was less than 200 meters away from the 3 of them. Half a blink of an eye. It was less than 50 meters away. Release. Yi Chen held the core of the light shield in his hand, and threw it backward. Shoo! The 3 of them flew out of the light shield, and continued to rush toward the entrance 1 mile away. Swoosh! The light shield, which had yet to dissipate, twisted rapidly, and was then pierced through by the dark purple vine. Its powerful defense only made the dark purple vine pause for a blink of an eye. Taking advantage of this blink of an eye, the 3 of them were less than 200 meters away from the entrance, and 300 meters away from the dark purple vine. Unfortunately, 300 meters was only 1/3 of a blink of an eye for the dark purple vine. In such a short time, Yi Chen and the other 2 would definitely not be able to rush out 200 meters. Finally, the dark purple vine pierced through the bodies of the 3 of them. No, it was the Zhenqi afterimages that had been pierced through. It turned out that Yi Chen had performed the shadow-separating light art at the critical moment, and had created 3 Zhenqi afterimages where he had been standing. His real body had already appeared on the right front with the other 2. The next moment, the dark purple vine once again pierced through their Zhenqi afterimages. Murong Qingcheng and Qi Xiaofeng both gasped in shock. They couldn't even imagine how Yi Chen had managed to do that. The dark purple vine was way too fast, so fast that they couldn't even react. If it were them, they would definitely not be able to perform the Zhenqi afterimages to confuse the man-eating vine. Of course, they didn't know that Yi Chen had a powerful soul power. Under the detection of his soul power, every single move of the dark purple vine was under his control. He knew exactly when it would arrive, and when it would be the best time to confuse it. The man-eating vine was enraged. Over and over again, Ji Hao had escaped from its attacks, which made it feel depressed and confused. The sunlight shone on the 3 of them, and they finally made it out of the jungle. However, it was not the time to relax yet. Yi Chen activated his Jin Qi to its limit, and darted towards the right front, where there was a rock mountain blocking the way. Obviously, Yi Chen had been worrying too much. The man-eating vine couldn't appear outside the jungle, as if there was an invisible barrier blocking it. Whoosh! Letting go of the two, Yi Chen felt dizzy and nearly fainted. Within a short distance of tens of miles, he had been fighting against the man-eating vine, struggling on the edge of death. Although he had won in the end, only he himself knew how much energy he had consumed. To be honest, if it were any other clasping Yuan realm martial artist, he would have died dozens of times already. There was absolutely no chance for him to make it out of the jungle, not to mention carrying two people. Beside him, Murong Qingcheng and Qi Xiaofeng were staring at Yi Chen as if he was a monster. "What's wrong?" Yi Chen's voice was hoarse. Qi Xiaofeng gave a bitter smile and said, "Apart from strength, compared to you, I feel like an idiot." "How did you do that?" Yi Chen gave a bitter smile and responded, "If I don't want to die, this is the only way. This is the first time I admire someone, but now I have to admire you. You are not that powerful." Murong Qingcheng didn't even try to hide her admiration for Ji Hao. "Let's get out of here first." Calming himself down, Yi Chen didn't want to dwell on this issue anymore. Hearing Qi Xiaofeng and Qi Xiaofeng nodded. They didn't want to come back to this place ever again. On their way out of the 100,000 mountain range, Yi Chen ran into people from the Long Blade Martial School. However, there were only tens of them left, and all of them seemed to have lost their wits. Shaking his head, Yi Chen felt lucky for these people. If they had stayed any longer and waited for the man-eating vine to come out, the entire Long Blade Martial School would have been annihilated. There weren't any demonic beasts in this direction. Half a day later, the three of them left the 100,000 mountain range and arrived at the territory controlled by the Long Blade Martial School. After another half a day, the three of them arrived at the only city near the 100,000 mountain range, Luohui City. Inside a private room of a large restaurant. The three of them were sitting inside. "Brother Yi, it's all thanks to you that we survived this time." Qi Xiaofeng poured a glass of wine for Yi Chen and said gratefully. Yi Chen said, "Strictly speaking, it's just a business deal between us, there's no such thing as gratitude." He had already accepted 500,000 low-ranked soulstones, 6,000 mid-ranked soulstones, and a mid-ranked storage ring from the two of them. He was already satisfied, and didn't feel that the two of them owed him anything. "You can't say that. Without you, even if we had all the wealth in the world, we wouldn't be alive to enjoy it." Murong Qingcheng raised her glass and clinked it against Yi Chen's. "In that case, this meal is my way of thanking you for your kindness." Picking up his glass, Yi Chen emptied it in one gulp. The sky was getting dark. After 3 rounds of drinking, the three of them were a little tired. They said goodbye to each other and went back to their own rooms to rest. In the guest room, Yi Chen lied on the soft bed and closed his eyes. Soon, he fell into a deep sleep, and only had a slight trace of consciousness left in his mind. From yesterday to today, he was too tired. On the other side, Murong Qingcheng dragged her exhausted body out of the shower and fell into a deep sleep just like Yi Chen. The couple of days of continuous battling had taken a huge toll on her. Although she did not seem to have done much in the end, it was just that she had been startled for a while, which had drained her even more mentally. In the middle of the night, Yi Chen was the first one to wake up. "I feel much better now. This is the first time I've felt so tired." Getting up from the bed, Yi Chen stretched his body, opened the window and enjoyed the night breeze. After a long while, Yi Chen closed the window and thought, "I haven't checked the white key yet, I wonder what it can do." Taking out the arm-length white key, Yi Chen stared at it without blinking his eyes. Seeing that he couldn't see anything, Yi Chen injected his Jin Qi into the key. Buzz! A white light shone, and a line of ancient characters appeared in the air. Emperor's Tomb, Aries constellation. Frowning, Yi Chen couldn't understand what this key had to do with the Aries constellation. Could it be the Aries constellation in the sky? But, this is not that world, this is the true spirit continent. Perhaps, it's just that the name is the same, but the content is different, and can't be compared. Excluding the Aries constellation, Yi Chen had some thoughts about the Emperor's tomb, which was probably the tomb of some powerful warrior. And this white key was indeed the key to open the tomb. No, it should be one of the keys. The map that he had gotten was not complete, it was only a piece of it. Judging from this, only by collecting all the keys would he be able to find the tomb and open it. After a slight disappointment, Yi Chen didn't care too much about it. The biggest gain this time should be the training method for one of the movements of the void-shattering finger art. If he could train it to the entry level, he would be able to beat all the other powerful warriors of the same generation. Once he trained it to the completion level, its power would be unimaginable. In his mind, the scene of that huge finger shattering the demon beast was still vivid. The void-shattering finger is too hard to train. I won't be able to make any progress in a short period of time. I should take a look at that high-rank Earth Realm manual first. In the second layer of the Goathead Mountain, Yi Chen had gotten a lot of manuals, and the best one among them was a high-rank Earth Realm manual. He didn't have time to read it before, but now, he could study it. Chapter 188. A dim light flickered, and a secret manual appeared in Yi Chen's hand. Yi Chen opened it. Flow Luo 3 Mysterious Spell, High-rank Earth Realm Secret Art. Secret Art. Just by reading a few words, Yi Chen's heart started to beat faster. Normally, anything related to a secret art would be a good thing. The so-called secret art was a secret art that ordinary people would not even have the chance to see. It was more valuable than a martial art of the same rank. Calming himself down, Yi Chen continued to read. This secret art is a secret art that can increase one's movement art. It is divided into 3 realms. The first realm can increase one's movement art by 1 rank, the second realm can increase 2 ranks, and the third realm can increase 3 ranks, all the way to the top rank Earth Realm movement art. Closing the manual, a smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. This manual had arrived just in time. Although the separating shadows flying art was very good, as it could separate Shen Qi shadows to confuse the enemies at the critical moment, but as the power increased, the weakness of the separating shadows flying art would be increased, which was its slow speed. Of course, it might not be slow among the other movement arts of the same rank, it could be counted as a top-rank Earth Realm movement art. However, all the martial geniuses he had met had trained a mid-rank Earth Realm movement art or a high-rank one. In the future, he might even meet a martial genius who had trained a top-rank Earth Realm movement art. Compared to them, the speed of the separating shadows flying art was definitely the weakness. Now, the problem was completely solved. As long as he trained the Flow Luo 3 Mysterious Spell to the first realm, the separating shadows flying art would be increased to the mid-rank Earth Realm. Once he trained it to the second realm, it would be increased to the high-rank Earth Realm. If he trained it to the third realm, it would reach the top-rank Earth Realm. This meant that the value of the Flow Luo 3 Mysterious Spell was equivalent to a top-rank Earth Realm movement art, which would allow him to be as fast as others, or even faster than others. Secret arts are usually very hard to train. This Flow Luo 3 Mysterious Spell is probably as hard as a top-rank Earth Realm martial art. It should be impossible to reach the third realm so easily. However, the first realm could increase 1 rank, which could be used for a long time. After a couple of hours, it would be dawn. Yi Chen didn't feel sleepy anymore, so he started to practice the great mystery art and his Shen Qi. Before cultivating, he swallowed a replenishing essence pill, a replenishing Qi pill, and a replenishing spirit pill. Then, he held a piece of low-grade spirit stone in each hand and entered into a state of cultivation. When the medicinal effects started to take effect, Yi Chen was pleasantly surprised to find that his cultivation speed had increased by about 30%. In other words, cultivating for 13 days in the past was equivalent to cultivating for 10 days now. In a year, he could save more than 80 days. After reaching the clasping Yuan realm, it is getting harder and harder to increase my cultivation. With these 3 kinds of pellets, I would be able to increase my cultivation even faster. After calming himself down, Yi Chen began to cultivate. The night quickly faded. The next day, early morning, in the lobby of the restaurant, the 3 of them sat by the window and were having breakfast. "Oh right, Brother Yi, why are you still using ordinary weapons? If you had a low-grade sword, your power would definitely improve by 10 to 20%. Qi Xiaofeng asked abruptly. Yi Chen said, "It's hard to find a suitable weapon. I would like to buy a low-grade sword at an auction." Murong Qingcheng said, "Weapon auctions are usually held once a year, or even longer. Why don't you go to the martial city in the Black Dragon Empire? It's a city of martial artists. Many martial artists would find some treasures that they don't need during their travels, and trade with each other. Of course, spirit stones are the hard currency among martial artists. You can also buy them." The martial city? Yi Chen had never heard of it. Qi Xiaofeng nodded and said, "Yes, I've been to the martial city once. There are millions of martial artists gathered there, and 80% of them are above the condensing reality realm. There are also a lot of clasping yuan realm and astral reaching realm martial artists. Sometimes, there are even Sea of Souls realm martial artists. It's very famous in the entire South Shui region. If you are willing to pay a high price, you can easily buy a low-grade sword. If that's the case, I do need to go there." A low-grade weapon could increase the attacking power by 10 to 20%, which was much more valuable than ordinary weapons. Yi Chen decided that his next stop would be the Black Dragon Empire. He had always wanted to see the Black Dragon Empire, one of the 3 largest empires in the South Shui region. Murong Qingcheng said, "I'm going back to the Black Dragon Empire as well. You and I can go together." Hearing this, Qi Xiaofeng's expression changed, then he smiled bitterly in his mind. He had planned to spend a few more days with Murong Qingcheng, but now it seemed that his plan was ruined. "Thank you." Yi Chen nodded. After breakfast, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng started their journey. The spirit-speaking nation was not far from the Black Dragon Empire, only about 70 to 80,000 miles away. At a normal speed, it would take them a week to get there. On the way, Yi Chen had been practicing the Flow Rudra 3 mysterious spell every day, trying to reach the first level as soon as possible and improve the separating shadow art to the mid-rank earth realm. As for Murong Qingcheng, she had been training her Zhen Qi especially hard. Because she had swallowed too many pellets, her power had dropped to 60 to 70% of her peak. Although the Sky Devil Martial School had many secret Zhen Qi training spells, she had only recovered 80% of her power in a couple of days. Of course, this speed had already shocked Yi Chen. He estimated that she would have recovered 90% of her power by the time they arrived at the Black Dragon Empire. A rank 6 martial institution is indeed a super martial institution. They are so powerful. With only this Zhen Qi training spell, they can beat all the rank 7 martial institutions. In fact, Yi Chen had underestimated Murong Qingcheng and the rank 6 martial institutions. On the 6th day, Murong Qingcheng, who had finished her training, stood up and activated the Sky Devil power field with all of her power. Immediately, a small mountain nearby was crushed, as it couldn't bear the sudden explosion of the power field. "You've recovered your power." Yi Chen was surprised. Murong Qingcheng nodded. "Actually, I didn't take too many pellets this time. 2 years ago, the Sky Devil Martial School had a war with another rank 6 martial institution. During that war, I took a whole 50 pellets in one day and killed over 20 clasping Yuan realm warriors." A war with a rank 6 martial institution? It was just a small fight. If it was a real war, I probably wouldn't be standing here anymore. Murong Qingcheng looked calm. "You killed over 20 clasping Yuan realm warriors in a small fight. Clasping Yuan realm warriors from a rank 6 martial institution are so worthless." Yi Chen shook his head. He couldn't imagine the power of a rank 6 martial institution. After another day, the two finally arrived at the border of the Black Dragon Empire. In front of the two was a 3,000 zhong tall mountain. Except for its height, this mountain looked ordinary. However, it was emitting a terrifying aura. Yi Chen found that a lot of warriors who came here would choose to take a detour. Murong Qingcheng introduced, according to the legend, a life and death realm warrior once died on this mountain. His blood dyed the top of the mountain red. His powerful consciousness had merged with the mountain, forming an extremely oppressive and horrifying aura. Normal warriors would often go crazy and die if they got too close. "What's the name of this mountain?" "The Fallen Mountain." Chapter 189. The fallen mountain seemed to be very close, but it was actually dozens of miles away from the main road. While walking on this road, Yi Chen felt that horrible pressure. The negative emotions in his heart had been magnified by a couple of times without him noticing, and it even made him feel like he was hallucinating. Activating his sword intent, Yi Chen killed all of those negative emotions, then turned his head to look at Murong Qingcheng. She seemed to have gotten used to the pressure from the fallen mountain, so she didn't seem to be affected at all. Vaguely, Yi Chen also felt that there was an even more mysterious power in her body, which was fighting against the pressure from the fallen mountain. Strange. Yi Chen was confused. Not long after, the two of them left the mountain of death behind, and the oppressive feeling instantly disappeared. The martial city was located in the west of the Black Dragon Empire, in the middle of the heavy mysterious mountain. Before they even got close to the heavy mysterious mountain, Yi Chen felt that the gravity had increased. This increase was very subtle, and without great perception, it would be hard to notice. At first, Yi Chen didn't pay much attention to it, but as they got closer and closer to the heavy mysterious mountain, the gravity became even heavier. Finally, he couldn't help but ask, "Is there something wrong with the gravity in the heavy mysterious mountain?" "You found it." Indeed, the gravity in the heavy mysterious mountain is much stronger than the outside world, and the closer we are to the center, the stronger the gravity is. "We haven't entered the heavy mysterious mountain yet," Murong Qingcheng explained. "Really?" Murong Qingcheng smiled. It was the first time she came to the heavy mysterious mountain, and she was just as shocked as Yi Chen. Later on, she didn't pay much attention to it. The true spirit continent was vast, and there were many things that couldn't be explained. For example, why did the ancient inheritance land become a world of its own, and why didn't it allow people who were over 24 years old to enter? This kind of method had already surpassed the power of life and death realm warriors. Half an hour passed. The two officially entered the outer area of the heavy mysterious mountain. Such a strong gravity, at least 3 times stronger than the outside world. Yi Chen suddenly lost control of his strength, and left a few deep footprints on the ground. On the other hand, Murong Qingcheng's steps were no different from normal. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen adjusted himself according to the gravity so that he would not leave any footprints. On the way, Yi Chen ran into quite a few groups of martial artists. Most of them were above the clasping Yuan realm. Condensing reality realm martial artists were rarely seen. "Look, isn't that Murong Qingcheng? Who is that brat next to him? How can he walk together with Murong Qingcheng? I've never seen him before. He doesn't look like a disciple of the sky-flying demon sect. I'm so envious." Murong Qingcheng is one of the 2 great beauties of the Black Dragon Empire. He would be satisfied even if he spoke a few words with her. What virtue or ability does he have to walk side by side with Murong Qingcheng? This kid is dead for sure. There are hundreds and thousands of young people who are infatuated with Murong Qingcheng. Any one of them could crush him to death. Hihi, you're right. Let's wait for a good show. The heavy mysterious mountain was not very big. Within an hour, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had reached the deepest part of the mountain. The gravity here was unprecedentedly strong, almost 10 times stronger than the outside world. According to Yi Chen's estimation, flying in the sky would consume Zhen Qi dozens of times faster than the outside world. Even clasping Yuan realm martial artists would not be able to fly for long, and astral reaching realm martial artists would also be slowed down. The entrance to the martial city is at the top of the mountain, Murong Qingcheng said. Yi Chen was surprised. The entrance is at the top of the mountain? We'll know when we get there. When they reached the top of the mountain, Yi Chen finally understood what Murong Qingcheng meant. The martial city was actually located on a magnificent mountain. This mountain seemed to have its top cut off by a sword, leaving only a flat cross-section. The cross-section had a diameter of over 100 miles. Around the cross-section was a bottomless abyss, completely isolated from the outside world. There were only 2 ways to enter the martial city. One was to fly with one's cultivation. However, the gravity above the abyss was way too strong. Yi Chen had just seen a rank 4 flying demonic beast being dragged into the abyss by the sudden increase of gravity when it was gliding in the sky, leaving nothing behind. The second way was to use the chains in front of them. There were thousands of chains floating above the abyss. These chains were as thick as a person's thigh, connecting the two places. "Let's go." Murong Qingqing's body flashed and landed on the chain. Immediately, Zhenqi spurted out from her heels, pushing her to the other end of the chain at an extremely fast speed. Following her example, Yi Chen followed closely behind Murong Qingqing. When they reached the center of the abyss, Yi Chen felt the sudden increase of gravity. It was at least 30 times, no, 50 times, a whole 50 times. No wonder even rank 4 flying demonic beasts couldn't fly over here. If a normal clasping Yuan realm martial artist tried to fly over here, he would probably end up the same as a rank 4 flying demonic beast. Swoosh, swoosh. The two landed on the cross-section of the mountain outside the Martial City. The Martial City was bigger than the Wild Wind City and the Forgotten City in the Windy Nation. It was over 70 miles in both width and length, and the city wall was over 300 meters tall. This height was not built randomly, because according to the gravity here, no martial artist below the late clasping Yuan realm could fly over 300 meters. Outside the wide city gate, there were 2 rows of guarding martial artists. Murong Qingqing reminded them, the entrance fee is 1 low-rank soulstone, and the exit fee is also 1 low-rank soulstone. Even leaving the city requires a soulstone. The entrance fee of 1 low-rank soulstone was indeed very high, but Yi Chen had already gotten used to it. After all the people in the Martial City were martial artists. Once you entered the city, you would be able to buy a lot of things that you couldn't normally see, which was very attractive to martial artists. It was understandable that the entrance fee was very high, but leaving the city also required a fee, which confused him. Murong Qingqing said, "There are a lot of rules in the Martial City, this is just one of them." After paying the 2 low-rank soulstones, the two entered the Martial City. The first impression that Yi Chen got from the buildings inside the Martial City was that it was huge and magnificent. Any ordinary building was at least 10 meters tall, and those restaurants were like tall towers, standing in every corner of the city. They were extremely eye-catching, and the streets were even wider, almost able to accommodate hundreds of people walking side by side. At this moment, Yi Chen felt like he had arrived at the capital of the giants. The second rule of the Martial City is that fighting is strictly prohibited. Anyone who violates this rule will be thrown into jail depending on the severity of the offense. Those who violate this rule will be killed on the spot. Until now, there has never been an exception. Hearing this, Yi Chen said, "The Martial City is a city of martial artists, so there should be a powerful person guarding it, right?" Murong Qingqing nodded. The mayor of the Martial City is a Sea of Souls realm martial artist. A Sea of Souls realm martial artist, no wonder. If astral reaching realm martial artists were powerful martial artists, then Sea of Souls realm martial artists were powerful martial artists. Every single move of theirs had the power to change the terrain. With a powerful Sea of Souls realm martial artist as the mayor, anyone who dared to mess around would be looking for death. There was a reason why the street was so wide. Once he entered the city, Yi Chen saw a lot of martial artists setting up stalls on both sides of the street. There were all kinds of stalls, there were bookshelves, animal skins, tables, and even huge rocks shaped like counters. It was a dazzling sight. Murong Qingqing said, "If you want to set up a stall, you need to spend 100 low-rank soulstones to get a stall license. Otherwise, it would be against the rules, and the punishment would be very heavy. Normally, when there are not too many things to sell, no one would set up a stall. Most people would choose to trade privately." "Are there no shops in the Martial City?" Yi Chen asked. "There are, but the shops rarely sell treasures. Most of them are pellet shops and normal weapon shops, and then there are restaurants and tea houses. Of course, if you have thousands of treasures, you can rent or buy a shop. Unfortunately, the treasures that an individual has are limited. It would be more worthwhile to set up a stall at midnight. After all, the stall license only costs 100 low-rank soulstones. In the city, there were a lot of patrolling martial artists going back and forth to check if anyone was violating the rules. Those martial artists who were more powerful than them did not dare to talk back to them. They were afraid that if they offended the patrolling martial artists, it would be a huge loss for them. When passing by some stalls, Yi Chen found that not everyone wanted to trade with soul stones. Some of the martial artists had two prices, one was the price of soul stones, and the other was the price of gold. However, the price of gold was obviously on the higher side. For example, a spirit plant would cost 10 low-rank soul stones, which was equivalent to 4,000 gold. However, the price of gold was more than 4,000 gold, reaching 6,000 gold. Regarding this, Yi Chen had his own opinion. In the martial city, gold should not be valued too much. Soul stones were what everyone needed. Therefore, if you wanted to buy something with gold, you should not care about it. No one would force you to buy it anyway. Coming to a bookshelf stall, Yi Chen took a look. All of them were secret manuals. The top 2 layers were for top-rank Mortal Realm secret manuals, and the bottom 2 were for low-rank Earth Realm secret manuals. Yi Chen asked, "How much are these secret manuals?" The owner of the stall was a mid-clasping Yuan Realm martial artist. He glanced at Yi Chen and said in a neutral tone, "Top-rank Mortal Realm secret manuals are all 80 low-rank soul stones. Low-rank Earth Realm secret manuals have their own prices." Hearing this, Yi Chen looked down. The cheapest low-rank Earth Realm secret manual was worth 6,000 low-rank soul stones, and the most expensive one was 13,000 low-rank soul stones. There were 5 secret manuals here, and the total value was more than 40,000 low-rank soul stones. It was not a small fortune. Yi Chen was speechless. The martial city was indeed the martial city. Even a small stall had a huge transaction volume. Yi Chen had no idea where the owner got so many secret manuals. Thinking that he still had dozens of secret manuals with him, Yi Chen thought to himself, "If I lack soul stones in the future, I can set up a stall in the martial city to sell them. Are you buying or not? If not, don't block the stall." The owner's face darkened. "I'm just taking a look." Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng walked away. They didn't care about the owner's attitude. All the martial artists who set up stalls in the martial city were not ordinary people. There were good and bad personalities, and there were all kinds of people. You couldn't expect every powerful martial artist to be nice to you. After walking a few streets, Yi Chen still hadn't found a stall that sold great weapons. Most of the stalls were selling spirit herbs, strange metals, beast pellets, and secret manuals. Murong Qingcheng said, "There aren't many treasures in the outer city. Let's go to the trading palace in the inner city." Trading palace? The trading palace is the place with the most treasures in the martial city. Sometimes, astral-reaching realm martial artists would also choose to sell or buy treasures there. However, you have to be qualified to go in. You have to be at least a late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, or a very wealthy person with more than 200,000 low-rank soul stones. You have more than 500,000 low-rank soul stones, so you are qualified. Chapter 190. Hearing Murong Qingcheng's words, Yi Chen naturally planned to go to the trading palace in the inner city to have a look. To enter the outer city, one would have to pay a low-rank soul stone, and to enter the inner city, it would be 100 times more, 100 low-rank soul stones. Just this entrance fee alone was enough to keep most of the condensing reality realm warriors out. They were not that extravagant, throwing out 100 low-rank soul stones so casually. Most of them only had hundreds or thousands of low-rank soul stones in their pockets. After paying 200 low-rank soul stones, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng entered the inner city. 4 astral-reaching realm warriors drinking tea, and 2 astral-reaching realm warriors taking a walk. I saw 6 of them at once, it's unbelievable. Astral-reaching realm warriors were rarely seen in the outside world, but there were already 6 of them on one street in the inner city of the martial city. One of them had a cultivation that was even more horrifying than the Black Crow Man, which meant that he was most likely a mid-astral-reaching realm warrior. "Hey, isn't this Miss Murong?" Among the 2 astral-reaching realm warriors taking a walk, the silver-haired elder looked over with a smile on his face. Murong Qingcheng said politely, "Greetings, Senior Diao." The silver-haired elder nodded and said, Please send my regards to your sky-flying devil martial school's elder Li. Tell him that I will play chess with him when I have time. But you have to tell him that he is not allowed to think for a long time before making a move. If I did not win the last game so quickly, I don't know how many days it would have taken. Hihi, I will tell Elder Li. But, Senior Diao, you have to be careful this time. Elder Li has developed a special move that is specially used to deal with you. Murong Qingcheng smiled lightly. All right, let him come. My cultivation is one level lower than his, but my chess skills are much better than his. The silver-haired elder laughed, then glanced at Yi Chen and teased, Miss Murong, who is this? Don't tell me he is your sweetheart. Murong Qingcheng said, he is my friend, his name is Yi Chen. So it is a friend. Work hard. The silver-haired elder looked very kind, without the slightest bit of arrogance of an astral-reaching realm warrior. Instead, he was teasing Yi Chen. Seeing that he couldn't stay out of this, Yi Chen cupped his fists and said, Greetings, seniors. The old man at the side nodded slightly and didn't say anything. The silver-haired old man waved his hand and said, Go on with your business. We still have things to do. Take care, Senior Diao. Murong Qingcheng watched him leave. Yi Chen couldn't help but ask, Who is this Senior Diao? His cultivation is very terrifying. Senior Diao doesn't belong to any sect, but he is very famous in the Black Dragon Empire. Among the martial artists of the same level, there are only a few who can beat him. His self-created mountain-shaking fist can shake a mountain into powder, so the martial artists of Jianghu call him Mountain-Shaking Elder, Murong Qingcheng said. To be able to turn a huge mountain into dust, it is indeed terrifying. There was a huge difference between smashing a mountain and shaking a mountain into powder. In the former, even 10 people would not be a match for Elder Zhunshan. The trading hall was more than 5 miles in length and width. There were 4 entrances to the hall, and there were martial artists inspecting at each entrance. You too, please show your spirit stones. Only those with more than 200,000 low-rank spirit stones are qualified to enter. The leading martial artist could see that the two of them didn't have the cultivation of late clasping Yuan realm, so he said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Yi Chen nodded. A dim light flashed on his storage ring, and a total of 20 big boxes landed on the ground. Each box contained 10,000 low-rank spirit stones. Indeed, there are 200,000 low-rank spirit stones. You can enter now. Hearing this, Yi Chen put away the 20 big boxes, and suddenly thought that Murong Qingcheng might not have 200,000 low-rank spirit stones. However, to his surprise, Murong Qingcheng didn't need to show her spirit stones at all. She took out a black jade tag from her storage ring, and the guard saw the jade tag and directly let her in. Our Sky-Flying Devil Martial School is a rank 6 martial institution. As long as you show your core disciple tag, you will be able to enter the trading hall. Murong Qingcheng said. Yi Chen sighed. Super martial institutions indeed had a lot of face. Their core disciples could directly enter the trading hall, and their status was equivalent to that of late clasping Yuan realm martial artists. The inside of the hall was very spacious, and there were countless pillars made of jade. These pillars were hundreds of meters tall, and 5 meters thick. Flowers, birds, insects, and fishes were carved on the surface. The floor of the hall was paved with very expensive green jade, which looked crystal clear and smooth. Walking on it would feel like walking on a calm ocean, and it would make one feel much more relaxed. As far as the eye could see, there was a crystal counter every 20 steps. The things inside the counters were all different. There were shining great weapons, demonic beast pellets that were releasing Yuan Qi, rare spirit herbs that emitted a strong spirit Qi, and even manuals. Right now, almost every crystal counter was surrounded by a group of martial artists. 80% of them were late clasping Yuan realm martial artists, and the rest were mostly early clasping Yuan realm or mid clasping Yuan realm martial artists. Occasionally, some astral reaching realm martial artists could be seen. Yi Chen roughly estimated that there were more than 50,000 clasping Yuan realm martial artists in the hall, which was an amazing number. Following the order of the crystal counters, the two walked and observed. Stopping in front of a crystal counter, Yi Chen saw the words written on it, Rank 6 Demonic Beast, three-headed snake pellet, worth 50,000 low-ranked spirit stones. The three-headed snake is only slightly weaker than the winged wolf. Normal peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm martial artists are no match for it. I can't believe there is a three-headed snake pellet for sale here. Yi Chen was very clear that the one who killed the three-headed snake was most likely a late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. Astral-reaching realm martial artists were not that bored. After all, 50,000 low-ranked spirit stones were not that much for them. Furthermore, once they reached the astral-reaching realm, low-ranked spirit stones would no longer be enough for their normal training. Only mid-ranked spirit stones could help them refine the Yuan Qi from the spirit stones faster. Murong Qingcheng said, "Don't underestimate all the martial artists in the world. Some of the less famous late-clasping Yuan realm martial artists are even more powerful than the top 10 young martial artists in the Hidden Dragon rank. The Winged Wolf and the Three-Headed Snake are invincible existences for us, but for them, they might only need one attack to kill them. Killing the Winged Wolf with one attack, is there anyone below the astral-reaching realm who could do that?" As far as Yi Chen knew, the Winged Wolf was way more powerful than the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School, Luo Xinglie. Luo Xinglie used to be an amazing martial genius, and now he was a peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. Stepping into the astral-reaching realm is way too difficult. Although some people are already peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm martial artists, they might be stuck at this level for the rest of their lives. Therefore, these people would spend a lot of time and effort to study the most powerful martial arts, pushing their own power to the limit. The power they could unleash would be extremely horrifying. You can't underestimate them just because they are not talented enough. Otherwise, you will be in big trouble. Yi Chen nodded. No matter what, to be able to kill a peak-level 6 demonic beast, the three-headed snake, this person is indeed very powerful. I am far from being able to compete with him. Right now, Yi Chen's power could only compete with normal late-clasping Yuan realm martial artists at most. If he ran into a slightly more powerful late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, he would have to run away. If he ran into a peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, he probably wouldn't even be able to run away. Walking another few hundred meters, Yi Chen suddenly saw a bright red light in front of him. The dazzling red light was emitted from the third crystal counter on the left. At the same time, a sharp and vigorous aura blew over, pressing down on his mind. The two of them looked over. Mid-rank artifact, Blood Sun Axe, worth 38,000 mid-rank spirit stones. Murong Qingcheng said in surprise, "Someone is selling a mid-rank artifact, but the price is too high. Not many people below the astral reaching realm can afford it. What's the usual price of a mid-rank artifact?" Yi Chen could feel the power of this Blood Sun Axe. Once his soul power got close to it, it felt like it was going to be crushed. He hurriedly asked. A normal mid-rank artifact is worth no less than 30,000 mid-rank spirit stones. This Blood Sun Axe should be a slightly better mid-rank artifact. A normal mid-rank artifact costs 30,000 mid-rank spirit stones. I remember that a mid-rank artifact can only increase one's attack power by 30 to 40%, while a low-rank artifact can also increase one's attack power by 10 to 20%. Why is the price difference more than 100 times? Murong Qingcheng shook her head. You have misunderstood. A low-rank artifact can increase a clasping Yuan realm martial artist's attack power by 10 to 20%. In the hands of an astral-reaching realm martial artist, it would already be very difficult to increase it by 5%. However, a mid-rank artifact can increase an astral-reaching realm martial artist's attack power by 30 to 40%. The two cannot be compared. Unfortunately, mid-rank artifacts are very rare. Even the inner elders of my Sky-Flying Devil sect rarely have one. I see. Then what if a mid-rank artifact falls into the hands of a clasping Yuan realm martial artist? Yi Chen was very clear about normal items, but he only had a smattering of knowledge about these rare treasures. No one had ever told him about them, and they could not be found in any books. As for astral-reaching realm martial artists, although they knew about them, you could not expect them to chat with you and tell you about some of the more advanced items. Moreover, Yi Chen was only familiar with Thunder Freya, and judging from his appearance, he did not have a mid-rank artifact either. It is very difficult for a clasping Yuan realm martial artist to bring out the full power of a mid-rank artifact. At most, their attack power can increase by 30 to 40%, which is the same as an astral reaching realm martial artist. However, you have to be careful. Even if you have a mid-rank artifact, do not take it out. Some astral reaching realm martial artists might even kill you and steal it. Thank you for the reminder. Yi Chen nodded. She was indeed a core disciple of a super martial institution. She knew a lot. Compared to her, Yi Chen's knowledge was very limited. Blood Sun Axe, my luck is not bad. A sturdy middle-aged man who looked to be in his 50s walked over, his eyes landing on the Blood Sun Axe. Yi Chen's pupils shrank. This person was an astral-reaching realm martial artist. Ding-ling-ling. The sturdy middle-aged man pulled the string on the crystal counter, and a crisp bell sound rang out from the wall behind the crystal counter. Soon, a door opened in the wall, and an old man with an aura as deep as the sea walked out. His Zhen Yuan ripples seemed to be even more powerful than the sturdy middle-aged man's. You want to buy the Blood Sun Axe? Indeed. Seeing the two trading, Yi Chen shook his head. In the past, astral-reaching realm martial artists were rarely seen, but now, they were everywhere in the martial city. He was already numb to it. The interior of the trading palace was very spacious. It was more than 5 miles in length and width, which was much bigger than some of the small towns in the outside world. The two were not in a hurry as they walked along the rows of crystal counters. Yeah. It's a low-rank sword. I've finally found it. Yi Chen's soul power sensed a sharp sword aura. It was coming from 100 meters in front of him, and it was very clear. Let's go take a look. As he spoke, Yi Chen had already walked over, with Murong Qingcheng following beside him. Chapter 191. There were 7 to 8 late clasping Yuan realm warriors standing in front of the crystal counter. Most of them were just there to watch, while the rest were bargaining with the owner. This sword is too expensive. Can you make it cheaper? 20,000 low-rank soul stones, I will buy it. The owner was a middle-aged man in his 40s with a beard. He shook his head, 30,000 low-rank soul stones, no more, no less. How about 24,000 low-rank soul stones? This is all I have. The middle-aged man still shook his head. Seeing this, the few people who wanted to buy the sword felt helpless. Although they were late clasping Yuan realm warriors, they only had 20 to 30,000 low-rank soul stones at most, which was already very rich. Outside of the martial city, most of the late clasping Yuan realm warriors might not even have 10,000 low-rank soul stones. Plus, they needed a lot of low-rank soul stones for their own training, so they obviously could not spend all of them. 30,000 low-rank soul stones, I will take it. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng walked over side by side. The middle-aged man glanced at Yi Chen and asked suspiciously, "You want to buy it?" He had been in the martial city for many years, so he knew clearly that only some of the older late clasping Yuan realm warriors could afford 30,000 low-rank soul stones. Yi Chen was so young, even if he came from a big martial institution, he would not have that many low-rank soul stones, unless he was the top martial genius of the martial institution, who was qualified to go to the ancient inheritance place and exchange with the martial institution. Without saying anything, Yi Chen took out 3 boxes of soul stones from his storage ring. All right, the Star Scar sword is yours. The middle-aged man looked very happy. He had recently been interested in a low-rank Earth realm martial art, which included a flying art, palm art, and a martial art. If he sold it individually, it would only be around 10,000 low-rank soul stones, but if he sold it all together, it would be worth 70,000 low-rank soul stones. Right now, he still needed 20,000 low-rank soul stones. As for the extra 10,000 low-rank soul stones from selling the Star Scar sword, it was for his own training. Wow, this brat is way too rich. 30,000 low-rank soul stones just like that. I'm sure that he's a genius disciple of a large sect and has entered the ancient land of inheritance. Otherwise, with his age, he wouldn't be able to accumulate so many spirit stones even after 4 or 5 years. Look at that masked girl next to him, she seems to be at the peak level of the mid-clasping Yuan realm, but the Zhenqi vibration released from her body seems to be even more powerful than us. She must have trained some kind of powerful martial art. The quality and quantity of her Zhenqi is terrifyingly high. That brat walking together with her, he must not be simple. All of the late clasping Yuan realm martial artists nearby started to discuss among themselves. Some of them looked surprised, some looked greedy, and some looked envious. Murong Qingcheng said in a low voice, "It's too expensive. The best low-grade artifact is only worth 20,000. It definitely won't exceed 25,000. Yi Chen said carelessly, "I don't need soul stones right now. What I need is a great sword. It doesn't matter." The Star Scar sword on the crystal counter was around 4 feet long. The body of the sword was not in the scabbard, and its whole body was shining with a misty sword light. It looked like the stars in the sky, shining brightly. Yi Chen could tell that the Star Scar sword was one of the top low-rank great swords. It was even better than the air-shattering blade that Lynch had bought. If he did not buy it now, he would regret it if someone else bought it. "Wait, I want this Star Scar sword." The middle-aged man was about to hand over the Star Scar sword to Yi Chen, but a hand stopped him and said with a cold voice. Everyone looked over and saw that it was a middle-aged man with a gloomy face. He had a sharp nose, triangular eyes, and a skinny face. His body was so skinny that it looked like he could be blown away by a gust of wind. However, sensing the extremely cold qi coming from him, no one dared to underestimate him. This is the inner master of the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School, the Blood Eagle Sword Yuan Zonghua. Someone recognized the middle-aged man and said with a low voice, "It's him. This is going to be a good show." Yuan Zonghua is an experienced late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. Normal late-clasping Yuan realm warriors would not be able to take even one sword attack from him. "Even if I can't get the Star Scar sword, I will just watch the show. Hee hee." The crowd spread out a little bit, standing not far away to watch the situation. Yi Chen's face darkened as he looked at the middle-aged man. Right now, it was all up to him. If he insisted on selling the Star Scar sword to him, then everything would be fine. The middle-aged man pushed away Yuan Zonghua's palm and said to Yi Chen, "Young man, the Star Scar sword is yours now. As for how you deal with it, it has nothing to do with me." Letting out a breath, Yi Chen took over the Star Scar sword. Yuan Zonghua looked at the middle-aged man with a cold look. "Very good. You did not even give me, Yuan Zonghua, any face. It seems like you are very confident. I, Fang Zonghua, have always been upright. Of course, I am confident. This Star Scar sword has already been paid by him, so it belongs to him now." The middle-aged man did not look scared at all. His eyes were full of killing intent. If it were not for the fact that this was the martial city, where fighting was forbidden, Yuan Zonghua would have already killed the middle-aged man with one sword attack. He would not even bother to talk to him. Plus, the Star Scar sword was in Yi Chen's hand now, so it would be pointless for him to keep threatening the middle-aged man. Turning his head to look at Yi Chen, Yuan Zonghua said, "Young man, name a price. Sell this Star Scar sword to me, and we can talk about it later." Putting away the Star Scar sword, Yi Chen said, "Sorry, not for sale. You better think it through." Yuan Zonghua squeezed his eyes. This is the result of thinking it through. Right now, we still have something to do. Bye. Yi Chen did not want to waste any more time with Yuan Zonghua. This kind of person would not change his mind with just a few words. So, it would be a waste of time. "Brat, you are looking for death. Don't think that the martial city can protect you forever. Once we get out of the martial city, I, Yuan Zonghua, will have my ways to make you hand over the Star Scar sword. Of course, by then, it will not be just one Star Scar sword, so I will have to collect some interest." Yuan Zonghua was so mad that he almost puked out blood. After being humiliated for so many times, his face had turned slightly red. He then clenched his fists, his veins bulging. As for Yuan Zonghua's harsh words, Yi Chen pretended that he did not hear them. Once they got out of the martial city, they would fight with their own power. If 1 or 2 words could scare him, then what was the point of him coming out to train? Wouldn't it be better to stay in the Sky Cloud Martial School? At least the Sky Cloud Martial School had the protection of the astral-reaching realm warriors. Looking at Yi Chen's back, everyone was shocked. This brat is so straightforward. He did not even talk to Yuan Zhongbo. But it would be hard for Yuan Zhongbo to kill him. The masked lady next to him is very powerful. If the two of them join hands, they might be able to hurt Yuan Zhongbo. Relying on women is nothing. Hearing everyone's words, Yuan Zhongbo sneered. Of course, he could tell how powerful Murong Qingcheng was. But he was confident that he could kill Yi Chen and leave easily. Plus, with his experience, he could tell that Murong Qingcheng and Yi Chen were just normal friends. They would separate eventually, and by then, he would make sure that Yi Chen would die a horrible death. That would be the price for messing with Yuan Zhongbo. Waving his sleeves, Yuan Zhongbo turned to leave. He needed to find some people to keep an eye on Yi Chen, just in case he would be able to sneak away without anyone noticing. On the other side of the palace, Murong Qingcheng said that Yuan Zhongbo is not easy to deal with. With your power, I think it might be a bit of a stretch. She did not want to hurt Yi Chen, so she used the word stretch. Seriously, if Yi Chen ran into Yuan Zhongbo, the only thing he could do was to run for his life. As for whether or not he could make it out alive, it was still unknown. It would be boring if the training was not dangerous. It would be nice to have some side dishes. Yi Chen was not worried at all. He now had the training method for the third movement of the void-shattering finger art, and he also had the Flow Rudra 3 mysterious spell. With 1 month, his power would definitely reach the next level. By then, even if he could not beat Yuan Zhongbo, he would still be able to scare him. Of course, if he could reach the peak level of early clasping Yuan realm, then he would be even more confident. You're right. Murong Qingcheng nodded. After buying the Starscar sword, the two did not leave right away. There were way too many treasures in the trading palace, and there might be something they needed. As they were walking, Murong Qingcheng suddenly stopped in front of a crystal counter. Inside the crystal counter, a pair of gloves with golden threads was sitting there quietly. They looked very thin, but a shocking spirit power vibration was coming out of them. Seeing the price of the gloves, Murong Qingcheng shook her head. She did not plan to buy it. Yi Chen said, "This pair of low-rank gloves is not bad. Why don't you buy it? I do not have that many low-rank soul stones right now. We will talk about it later. Plus, I already have a pair of gloves." As the second disciple of the Sky-Flying Devil Martial School, Murong Qingcheng already had low-rank gloves. However, compared to this pair of gloves, they were obviously not as good. 23,000 low-rank soul stones. I will pay for you. Consider it as a thank you for bringing me to the martial city. Yi Chen took out 2 big boxes and 3 small boxes without hesitation. They were all filled with low-rank soul stones. For him, 23,000 low-rank soul stones were just a small amount. He had more than 2 million low-rank soul stones now, and 60,000 mid-rank soul stones. He was even richer than a normal rank 9 martial institution. Thank you. Murong Qingcheng had trained a demon martial art, so she was not shy at all. Qingcheng, you don't need him to pay for you. I will give you this pair of gloves. Right then, a young man in luxurious clothes took out a low-rank soul stone and handed it to the owner of the gloves before Yi Chen could. Seeing this person, Murong Qingcheng was expressionless. Second prince, what a coincidence. Yeah, it is indeed a coincidence. The young man was not very handsome, but he had the aura of a king. Behind him were 4 elderly men in black, all of whom were at least as powerful as Yuan Zhongbo. The leader was obviously a peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. I think I should just forget about it. I don't like this pair of gloves. Murong Qingcheng did not plan to accept his gift. The young man turned around. What? Didn't you want to buy it just now? Just now was just now. I don't like it now. Yi Chen, let's go. Murong Qingcheng turned around and left. Yi Chen followed behind her helplessly. The smile on the young man's face froze. Yi Chen was willing to pay for her, but she did not buy it when he gave it to her. How ridiculous. Master Liu, send a couple of people to watch them. See what kind of relationship that brat has with her. Yes, Your Royal Highness, the old man in the lead said respectfully. Better not. Otherwise, don't blame me. Glancing at Yi Chen with a creepy look, the young man dropped the gloves and walked away. Chapter 192. In front of an ancient-looking building. People were coming and going. The warriors who went in had a serious look on their faces, and the ones who came out were either overjoyed or upset. The atmosphere was quite weird. Yi Chen paused, turned his head and said, "The second prince you are talking about should be the second prince of the Black Dragon Empire, right?" "Yeah, he is also ranked 34th in the last hidden dragon rank. He is slightly more powerful than Qi Xiaofeng." Murong Qingcheng was playing with the golden silk gloves in her hand. Just now, under Yi Chen's suggestion, they had gone back to the crystal counter and bought the gloves. "You seem to be very scared of him." "I am not scared of him, I am scared of the royal family of the Black Dragon Empire behind him. In the South Rudra region, rank 6 institutions are not the most powerful ones. The royal families of the 3 big empires are the real rulers. According to the ranking, the 3 big empires are equivalent to the top rank 6 institutions. They have tens of thousands of years of history. Even the powerful 9 Ghost Cult could not destroy the 3 big empires at once." Speaking of the 9 Ghost Cult, Yi Chen could not help but ask, what is the rank of the 9 Ghost Cult? Even if all of the forces in the South Rudra region combined, they would not be able to compete with it. It is a rank 5 institution, and it is a top rank 5 institution. There are thousands of astral-reaching realm warriors in the martial institution, and dozens of Sea of Souls realm warriors. And the leader of the 9 Ghost Cult is a life and death realm warrior. If it were not for the Dragon King and Xianhu working together to hunt him down, the 9 Ghost Cult would have already conquered the whole South Rudra region. The Dragon King and Xianhu working together to hunt down the leader of the 9 Ghost Cult. Yi Chen gasped. In this true spirit continent, life and death realm warriors were definitely a legend. A lot of people might not even get to see one in their entire lives. Murong Qingcheng had a longing look on her face as she explained, the battle between life and death realm warriors is not a normal battle. Even if you are 30% more powerful, you will only be able to beat your opponent back. You will not even be able to hurt your opponent. Although the Dragon King is an experienced life and death realm warrior, and Xianhu is even more powerful, the leader of the Shu King is not a normal life and death realm warrior either. In a one-on-one battle, you will not be able to do anything to him. In the whole world, perhaps only that supreme warrior, Shu King, could wound the leader of the 9 Ghost Cult badly by himself. But to kill him completely would be very, very hard, unless the power gap between the two was a few times higher. You're saying that the leader of the 9 Ghost Cult might still be alive? You don't know? Murong Qingcheng shook his head. Yi Chen forced a smile. With his cultivation, he would not be able to understand the power of life and death realm warriors at all. Making wild guesses would only bring trouble to himself. All right, let's go in. Yi Chen did not say anything else as he walked towards the ancient-looking building. Welcome. You two are here to use the training room, right? In the lobby, there was a beautiful lady sitting there. Seeing the two walk in, a formal smile appeared on her face. Yi Chen nodded, that's right. The martial city was different from other places. It could be said that it was blessed by the heavens. Under the martial city, there was the Earth Shozhen fire, which was extremely hot. Once an astral-reaching realm warrior touched it, he or she would be burned into ashes in an instant. However, what was amazing was that if a warrior trained near the Earth Shozhen fire, he or she would be able to train his or her Zhen Qi much faster, and it would be easier for him or her to make a breakthrough. Later on, dozens of Sea of Souls realm warriors performed an amazing trick and gathered the fire qi that came from the Earth Shozhen fire in one place, and built the unique training room of the martial city. Training in the training room was much better than before. Most of the warriors who came to the martial city because of the fame of the Earth Shozhen fire were here to train in the training room, hoping to reach a higher level as soon as possible. Of course, training in the training room required soul stones. There was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. The training rooms in our martial city are divided into 4 ranks: the low-rank training room, the mid-rank training room, the high-rank training room, and the top-rank training room. However, only astral-reaching realm warriors can use the high-rank training room and above. Would you like a low-rank training room or a mid-rank training room? Yi Chen said, give us 2 mid-rank training rooms. The fire chi in the high-rank training room was way too intense. Warriors below the astral-reaching realm would not be able to handle it. Otherwise, there would be no need for the martial city to restrict the warriors' cultivation, since everyone's soulstones were soulstones anyway. The mid-rank training room costs 1,000 low-rank soulstones per day. There is a mid-rank training field outside. Please pay for 3 days' worth of soulstones in advance. Yi Chen had already heard the price of the training room from Murong Qingcheng, so he was not too surprised. He took out 6,000 low-rank soulstones and put them on the counter, then took 2 jade tags from the waiter's hand. The ancient characters 64 and 65 were written on the jade tags. Please follow me, a waiter said as he led the way. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng followed. Not long after, the two followed the waiter to 2 adjacent yards. The waiter said, on the left is the mid-rank training room 64, and on the right is the mid-rank training room 65. Before you leave the training room, they belong to you. Without your permission, no one can enter. Got it? Yi Chen took out 10 low-rank soul stones and threw them to the waiter. Thank you. I wish you success in your training. The waiter revealed a smile. He was only a mid-condensing reality realm warrior. 10 low-rank soulstones were quite a lot for him. After the waiter left, Yi Chen said, I think this training will take a long time. If you can't wait, you can leave first. I will pay for the soul stones. All right. Murong Qingcheng indeed would not stay in the martial city for a long time, since she could not make a breakthrough with her current cultivation. Even with the training room, it would not be possible. If she did not make much progress, she would need to go back to the Sky-Flying Devil Martial School and prepare for it before heading to the 100,000 mountain range to find the Sky Devil Flower. After separating from Murong Qingcheng, Yi Chen entered the 64th yard. Wow, this training field is not bad. It should be able to take a lot of impact. In front of his eyes was a small martial arts field with a circumference of 30 meters. The ground of the martial arts field was paved with extremely hard blue iron stones. In the center of the martial arts field, there were 3 training pillars made of metal. There were many marks on the surface, such as sword marks, saber marks, and palm prints. It was obvious that they had been used by people. Taking out his Starscar sword, Yi Chen took a deep breath and threw out a sword attack. Shoo! The light blue sword chi sliced through the air, leaving a deep sword mark on the training columns. Because Yi Chen did not know how hard the training columns were, he took out his dragon spring sword and threw out another sword chi, leaving a slightly shallow sword mark on the training columns. Yeah, it increased the attacking power by about 15%. A low-rank greatsword is indeed a low-rank greatsword. It is not something a normal greatsword can compete with. Regarding the power of the Starscar sword, Yi Chen was very satisfied. But in comparison, he preferred the hardness of a low-rank great weapon. With the Starscar sword, he would not have to worry about the sword breaking anymore. The yard was not that big. Besides the small training field, there was only one building. Inside the building, there was a living room in the middle, a bedroom on the left, and a training room on the right. The training room was made of a special material. It was not made of stone, nor was it made of metal. Instead, it looked like it was made of some kind of iron wood. It was hard and cold to the touch. Once he entered the room, Yi Chen felt the temperature increase. But strangely, staying in the training room, he did not feel hot at all. On the contrary, his body felt warm, and the Zhen Qi that was flowing slowly suddenly became active, like a surging river. Releasing his soul power, Yi Chen wanted to see what was so special about the training room. Soon, he found that there was a light red gas rising up from the ground, gathering in the training room. Because of the special material, the walls and the ceiling had the effect of blocking the red gas, preventing it from spreading out. This should be the fire chi of the earth Zhen Qi. I wonder what the real earth Zhen Qi looks like. Mumbling to himself, Yi Chen walked to the cushion in the middle of the training room and sat down with his legs crossed. He took out a chi replenishing pellet, a spirit replenishing pellet, and a soul replenishing pellet and put them into his mouth. He then took out 2 low-rank soul stones and held them in his hands. This time, he wanted to reach the peak of early clasping Yuan realm. Only with his cultivation could his overall power increase rapidly. Closing his eyes, Yi Chen slowly entered the training state. You mean, that brat is training in the training room? In the private room of the restaurant, Yuan Zhongbo said to the condensing reality realm warrior who was standing in front of him. The warrior nodded, yes. Keep watching him. Once he comes out, send someone to inform me immediately. You will get the soul stones. Yuan Zhongbo said with a cold expression. Yes. The warrior looked very happy. In the martial city, condensing reality realm warriors did not have much status. It was very hard to earn soul stones through normal channels. The good thing was that all the warriors who entered the martial city had some conflicts with each other. Normally, the warriors who had conflicts would find a few condensing reality realm warriors to keep an eye on each other. Of course, there was a price to pay, which was soul stones. You can leave for now. Yuan Zhongbo waved his hand. Waiting until the warrior left, Yuan Zhongbo's face turned evil. Brat, the training room is not omnipotent. You are only an early clasping Yuan realm warrior, and you can only reach the peak of early clasping Yuan realm in a short period of time. You will not be able to compete with me. Once you leave the martial city, it will be your death. As for that Starscar sword, it will be mine. Inside another luxurious yard. Second prince, our people have been watching along the way. They found that this guy is not that close to Miss Murong. They should be normal friends. The elder in black said with respect. Hearing him, the second prince laughed. Normal friends? That's what I said. Qing Cheng is a proud woman. How could she have a relationship with someone else? Plus, that brat is only an early clasping Yuan realm warrior. The elder in black rolled his eyes, and thought to himself, no one said that he has a relationship with Murong Qing Cheng. You are the one who thinks so. If that is the case, then let's stop watching. Murong Qing Cheng has a lot of normal friends. There is no need to watch every single one of them. Knowing that Yi Chen and Murong Qing Cheng were normal friends, the second prince felt a lot better. He did not plan to cause any trouble for Yi Chen. After all, martial geniuses had too many normal friends. It would be weird if they did not have any. Yes. Chapter 193. Days passed by. On the 7th day, noon. The door of the training room was opened, and Yi Chen walked out. I can't stay in the training room for too long. As time goes on, the earth Shozhen fire will make me anxious. If I continue to train like this, I might lose my mind and end up with unpredictable consequences. Alright, I will take a break for a while and train the Flow Rudra 3 spell and the void-shattering finger art. For Yi Chen, the Flow Rudra 3 mysterious spell was very important. Only by increasing his speed would he have the chance to escape from danger in the future. Let's go eat something first. Letting out a breath of hot air, Yi Chen pushed open the door and walked out of the yard. Although clasping Yuan realm warriors could go for a long time without eating or drinking, but once they stopped training, they would still be very hungry. Yi Chen was no exception. Young warrior, this is a note from your friend. Outside the yard, the waiter who had served Yi Chen and Murong Qing Cheng saw Yi Chen and hurried over, handing him a note. Yi Chen took the note and opened it. Brother Yi, I still have something to do. I will go back to the Sky Demon Martial School now. Be careful, we will meet again in the future. Murong Qing Cheng. Closing the note, Yi Chen asked, when did she leave? 4 days ago. Thank you, this is your reward. Taking out 10 low-rank soul stones from his storage ring, Yi Chen threw them to the waiter. The waiter took the low-rank soul stones and thought to himself, so generous. 10 low-rank soul stones at once, it is enough for me to train for a month. In a restaurant nearby, Yi Chen sat on the second floor near the window. Yuan Zhongbo's power is not to be underestimated. Before I leave the city, I have to reach the peak of early clasping Yuan realm, and I have to train the Flow Rudra 3 mysterious spell to the first realm as well. Adding my ace attack, the one sword attack, I should be able to fight against him for a while. Unfortunately, the third movement of the void-shattering finger art is extremely hard to train. If I could learn 10 to 20% of it, I would have a higher chance of winning. According to Yi Chen's estimation, the void-shattering finger art should be a heaven realm finger art, and it was not a low-rank one at that. Judging from the fact that the stone pillar-like finger could shatter a life and death realm beast with a single finger attack, Yi Chen could tell that. Soon, all the dishes were served, as well as a pot of wine. Yi Chen couldn't care less about being polite and started wolfing down the food. Did you guys know that yesterday, an astral-reaching realm martial artist died in the heavy mysterious mountain? A few clasping Yuan realm martial artists were sitting together on the third table next to them, talking to each other. What? An astral-reaching realm warrior is dead. Who killed him? It was the mountain-shaking old man, Jia Kuei. The one who died was not a nobody either. His nickname was Evil Blade, and he had reached the peak of early astral-reaching realm. Evil Blade, it was him. Decades ago, he had killed the whole family of the mountain-shaking old man's disciple. The mountain-shaking old man had always hated him. I did not expect him to catch him this time. Oh right, how many attacks did they use? Although the mountain-shaking old man was a mid-astral-reaching realm warrior, Evil Blade was also very powerful. I heard that he could take on normal mid-astral-reaching realm warriors. 3 attacks. The mountain-shaking old man killed Evil Blade with only 3 attacks. That's impossible. Did Evil Blade not have enough time to burn his Jin Yuan? If he did not burn his Jin Yuan, Evil Blade would only be able to take 1 attack at most. Back then, the mountain-shaking old man had gone all out. He did not even say anything before burning his Jin Yuan, not giving Evil Blade any chance to escape. It's good that he died. Evil Blade had killed countless people, so he would not be able to escape after all. Hearing their conversation, Yi Chen thought to himself, the mountain-shaking old man looks like a nice person, and he even teased me in front of Murong Qingcheng. But when he is angry, he is quite fierce. He killed a peak-level early astral-reaching realm warrior with 3 attacks. I am afraid that even Thunder Freya would not be able to take 3 attacks from him. After lunch, Yi Chen walked out onto the street. As he walked, he stopped. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road, he thought to himself. Hihi, it seems like you have not reached the peak-level early clasping Yuan realm yet. Plus, your friend has left you as well. Yuan Zhongbo looked at Yi Chen with an evil intention. Yi Chen said lightly, right now is the best chance to kill me. Unfortunately, it is not in your hands. There is no use trying to provoke me. I am not stupid. Even astral-reaching realm warriors do not dare to kill people in the martial city. I would not dare to either. Unfortunately, you cannot stay in the martial city forever. Then you wait for me. Maybe I will stay in the martial city for 3 to 5 years. Yi Chen sneered as he walked past Yuan Zhongbo. Yuan Zhongbo's face darkened. If he really wanted to stay in the martial city for 3 to 5 years, he would not be able to do anything about it. Damn. Don't fall into my hands. Otherwise, I will make you beg for death. Back in the yard, Yi Chen rested for a while and started to learn the Flow Rudra 3 spell. Another 7 days passed. On the small training field. Separate. Yi Chen groaned with a low voice. 2 extremely real Zhen Qi shadows appeared from Yi Chen's body. The Zhen Qi shadows started to fly, and within a blink of an eye, they had already run 1 round around the training field. Then, they suddenly appeared in front of the metal training column and threw a punch on it. Boom. Boom. 2 fist marks appeared on the training column. Soon. After a while, the Flow Rudra 3 spell should be able to reach the first realm. By then, the separating shadow flying art would be at the middle rank Earth realm. Right now, the separating shadow flying art had already surpassed the original effect. It was not any weaker than the top low rank Earth realm flying art, and was only 1 step away from the middle rank Earth realm. The Zhen Qi shadows merged into his body. Yi Chen stood still and closed his eyes. After a long while, he opened his eyes, and an extremely horrifying qi spread out. He reached out his right index finger and pointed at the training column. Pooh! A deep finger mark appeared in the middle of the training column, and the fingerprint could be seen clearly. Seeing that, Yi Chen shook his head. Still not good. Not even 1/10 of it. The third movement of the void-shattering finger is too hard. It seems like my cultivation is indeed too low. Wanting to learn a Heaven Realm finger art is not something that can be done in a short period of time. Let's not waste any more time. During this period of time, besides training the Flow Rudra 3 spell, Yi Chen was also training the void-shattering finger art. He wanted to see if he could make a breakthrough. It seemed like the rank of the void-shattering finger art was too high, and it would be unwise to waste his time on it. Time flew by like water. On this day, Yi Chen moved extremely fast on the small training field. On his way, his body slightly shook, and two Jinqi shadows shot out towards the training column at an unbelievable speed. Break! The real body and Jinqi shadows threw out a punch at the same time, violently hitting the training column. Boom boom boom! 3 muffled sounds were heard almost at the same time. Back out! With one punch thrown out, the 3 shadows mixed together and backed out in a dazzling way. It was impossible to tell which was the real body and which was the Jinqi shadows. Compared to before, the speed and effect were not the same at all. Taking back the Jinqi shadows, a smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. The Flow Rudra 3 spell has finally reached the first realm. Right now, my separating shadow flying art is more than 50% stronger than before. I can already cooperate with the Jinqi shadows to attack the enemies together. Seriously speaking, the Jinqi shadows created by the separating shadow flying art were mainly used to confuse the enemies, and did not have much power. However, after reaching the mid-rank Earth realm, the Jinqi shadows' power had increased drastically. When encountering a powerful opponent, the Jinqi shadows would be able to block the opponent for a second, and that second would be more than enough. The Earth Fiend Jin fire inside my body has almost dissipated. I should try to break into the peak-level early clasping Yuan realm this time. Reaching the peak-level early clasping Yuan realm from the early clasping Yuan realm required a lot of accumulation. If there were pellets or treasures that could increase Jinqi, it could be done within a couple of days. Unfortunately, these kinds of pellets and treasures were not something that normal people could get. Only those rank 7 martial institutions or super martial institutions had the resources to train their genius disciples. For example, Murong Qingcheng had improved her cultivation from the mid-clasping Yuan realm to the peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm with a fire dragon fruit. According to her, the other top-ranked hidden dragon rank warriors had done the same. There was no time to be jealous of those genius disciples from the rank 7 martial institutions or super martial institutions. Right now, Yi Chen could only focus on training step by step. What? That brat went inside to train again? Inside the private room of the restaurant, Yuan Zhongbo was extremely furious. The teenager who came to inform Yi Chen said, "Yes, I used the low-rank soul stones you gave me to bribe a few waiters. They did not see him come out. Keep watching. I don't believe that he can really stay in the martial city for 3 to 5 years." Yuan Zhongbo was now really worried that Yi Chen would not leave the martial city. It was not like this had never happened before. A lot of people had stayed in the martial city for 10 or even 20 years in order to avoid their enemies. They did not dare to leave the martial city until their enemies were killed by someone else. This time, Yi Chen stayed in the training room for half a month without coming out. He did not drink a single drop of water for half a month. He had put all of his focus into training. He had used hundreds of low-rank soul stones and dozens of spirit, chi, and mental pellets. If it was a normal early clasping Yuan realm warrior who did this, there would be a huge chance that he would lose his mind. However, Yi Chen's soul power was extremely powerful, which allowed him to extend the time by more than 2 times. Otherwise, he would not have been so reckless. Outside the yard, different waiters would come and watch during their break time, which made the waiter who had received a tip from Yi Chen feel suspicious. He had lived in the martial city for so many years, and had seen everything. If he was not mistaken, there should be someone who wanted to kill Yi Chen. Under the watch of those waiters, Yi Chen finally came out again. The fire chi of the Earth Fiend Jin fire is so amazing. After training for so long, my meridians are still fine. But it should also have the effect of the Qi replenishing pellet and the soul replenishing pellet. Normally, warriors would stop after training for a couple of hours at most, because their meridians could not handle the constant flow of Jin Qi, which could easily cause damage to their meridians. However, in the training room, Yi Chen would only stop for a couple of hours after training for half a day. He would close his eyes and rest. After a couple of hours, his meridians would return to normal and he would continue training. Letting out a long breath, Yi Chen opened the door and mumbled to himself, "I have reached the peak level early clasping Yuan realm. I will not be able to make another breakthrough in a short period of time." Bang bang bang, someone knocked on the door from outside the yard. Yi Chen pulled with his right hand, and the door bolt was pulled open. He said, "Come in." Crack. The door opened, and it was the waiter who had served him before. "What is it?" Yi Chen asked. "You should not leave the martial city for now. Someone has their eyes on you, and they have arranged a lot of waiters to watch over you." Yi Chen smiled lightly. "I know, thanks." Yuan Zhongbo had sent people to watch over him, and he had already known about it. Now that his cultivation and flying art had both improved, he did not have to be afraid of him anymore. "You know, it seems like I have been worrying too much." The waiter laughed. Yi Chen said, "You go first, don't get yourself into trouble." "Yeah." The waiter was taking a huge risk by coming here. Although he would not leave the martial city in a couple of years, some things were unpredictable. The next morning, Yi Chen closed the door and was about to leave the training room. Chapter 194. You have trained in the training room for 35 days. Excluding the 3 days that you paid before, you still need to pay for 32 days worth of soul stones. That's 32,000 low-rank soul stones in total. The lady said with a smile. Yi Chen paid the soul stones, and before he left, he glanced at the waiter who had a weird expression on his face. Walking on the street, Yi Chen thought to himself, if nothing goes wrong, Yuan Zhongbo will soon know that I have left the martial city, and he will definitely come after me. Instead of fighting back or running away, I might as well make the first move and teach him a lesson. After making up his mind, Yi Chen increased his speed and flew towards the city gate. "Sir, the kid you asked us to watch is running towards the city gate." The door of the restaurant was opened, and the young man rushed in. Crack. The teacup was shattered as Yuan Zhongbo stood up and laughed. "Kid, let's see where you can run this time. Today, the heavy mystery mountain will be your burial ground." Yuan Zhongbo was not afraid of Yi Chen running away at all. The gravity in the center of the heavy mystery mountain was 10 times stronger than the outside world. The lower the cultivation, the greater the pressure. He and Yi Chen were 2 realms apart. No matter how you looked at it, he was way more powerful than Yi Chen. Seeing that Yuan Zhongbo was about to leave, the young man said, "Sir, what about the other half of the soul stones you promised me? Let's talk about it when I come back. I will give you double." As the voice came, the young man had already disappeared. Getting out of the city gate, Yi Chen's body flashed and landed on the thigh-thick chain. Jin Qi exploded from his feet, and he jumped out like he was on a skateboard. Coming. On his way, Yi Chen's soul power sensed Yuan Zhongbo's aura. The latter was running towards him, and soon, he had reached the city gate. The moment Yuan Zhongbo got out of the city gate, he saw Yi Chen who was almost at the other side of the abyss. He laughed and jumped up into the sky like a rock spreading its wings. Within a second, he landed on the chain. His legs started to move back and forth at an extremely fast speed, increasing his speed. Shoo! Soon, Yuan Zhongbo arrived at the top of the mountain along the chain. Looking down, a few miles away, a human shadow was running crazily, looking back from time to time, looking a bit impatient. "Can you escape?" His clothes started to flutter even though there was no wind. Yuan Zhongbo jumped into the air, and his Jin Qi started to pour out, forming a 3 meters long blood-red Jin Qi eagle outside his body. The eagle flapped its wings, and with a shoo sound, it dived down, drawing a beautiful blood-colored arc in the air. The 2 of them moved as fast as lightning, one chasing and the other escaping. Blood eagle art. That is not Yuan Zhongbo. Who is he chasing? Yuan Zhongbue is an experienced late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. Judging from the Zhen Qi vibration of that guy in front of us, he has not reached the mid-clasping Yuan realm yet. He should be at the peak level early clasping Yuan realm. The Blood Eagle Sword Yuan Zhongbue is ruthless. This guy is going to suffer. What does it have to do with us? Countless warriors die in the heavy mysterious mountains every day. Not long ago, even an astral-reaching realm warrior died. The heavy mystery mountain range was not very big, and there were many martial artists coming and going. The chase and escape between the two alarmed many martial artists, causing them to talk about it. Kid, let's see where you can run to. Wrapped by the Zhen Qi eagle, Yuan Zhongbue took out his great sword and threw out a sword attack. Shoo! The blood-red sword Qi stretched out in the air, slicing through the air. Wherever it went, the mountain rocks were cut in half, and the trees fell down one after another. Within a second, it had caught up with Yi Chen. Boom! A small hill in front of them had been blown open. It was like Yi Chen had grown eyes on the back of his head. He suddenly changed his route and flew towards a remote road. Hee, the more remote the better. This way, there will not be any accidents. The Zhen Qi eagle flapped its wings and carried Yuan Zhongbue, chasing after Yi Chen. Gradually, no one could be seen around them anymore. The ground was covered with weeds, which were huge and tall, with the thickness of an arm. Obviously, the gravity of the heavy mysterious mountains had strengthened the plants that survived in there, making them much tougher than the plants in the outside world. 300 meters. 200 meters. 100 meters. Yuan Zhongbue laughed out loud. Little brat, I advise you not to run anymore. If you want to blame something, blame yourself for thinking that you could escape from me. In front of him, Yi Chen's cold voice was heard. It is hard to tell who will laugh in the end. Stubborn duck. Let's see how you will laugh later. Yuan Zhongbue hated Yi Chen's tone. Until now, Yi Chen was still terrifyingly calm, as if nothing could affect him. On the contrary, Yuan Zhongbue seemed to be irritated, as if he could not wait to kill Yi Chen and destroy his confidence. Both of them were flying at a low altitude, only tens of meters away from the ground. Suddenly Yi Chen's body landed on the ground, and he started to run on the ground. Yuan Zhongbue was dazed for a second, and then he laughed out proudly. The gravity of the heavy mysterious mountains is extremely strong. The Zhen Qi will be consumed 10 times faster than the outside world. God is on my side. Let's see how you are going to escape. Eagle punch. As the punch was thrown out, an eagle's cry was heard. The grass in front of him had been smashed into pieces under the pressure of the punch. The ground sank a couple of meters deep, and a huge fist mark appeared. Hey! He dodged it. Yuan Zhongbue thought that his punch would be enough to wound Yi Chen, but he did not expect that Yi Chen's speed would suddenly increase, allowing him to dodge the punch. Oh well, it has been a while since I played the game of cat and mouse. Right then, he felt that killing Yi Chen all of a sudden would be pointless. After all, he had been pissed off for a month, and he needed to vent it out. However, before he could be happy for long, the hairs on his body suddenly stood up. Danger! After going through so many bloody battles, Yuan Zhongbue instinctively felt a sense of danger. He subconsciously increased the strength of his Zhen Qi layer. The blood-red Zhen Qi eagle around his body had been compressed to half of its original size, and its thickness had also doubled. All of this happened within a blink of an eye. In the next second, a beam of sword Qi shot out from under the ground, hitting Yuan Zhongbue's body within a second. Brat, you will die a horrible death. Blood puked out of his mouth. Although Yuan Zhongbue had sensed the danger, he did not know where the danger was coming from. What was worse was that underneath his Zhen Qi layer was the weakest, and it was immediately torn open by the sword Qi, causing him to suffer quite a serious internal injury. The ground cracked open, and Yi Chen's body shot out. Zhen Qi shadow. Yuan Zhongbue's pupils shrank. He was not stupid, and it did not take him long to figure out how Yi Chen managed to get under the ground. It turned out that the second Yi Chen landed on the ground, he had performed his separating shadow flying art and left a Zhen Qi shadow on the ground to attract Yuan Zhongbue's attention. His real body had already gone under the ground, and with his soul power, he had easily tracked Yuan Zhongbue's location. Yi Chen did not plan to let his opponent rest. He waved out his sword, and a light blue giant sword chi shot up, twisting the air and forming a tornado, attacking towards his opponent. Small tricks. Now I will let you know that even if I am wounded, I can still kill you easily. Blood Eagle 3 sword attacks. Yuan Zhongbua sneered and threw out 3 sword attacks in a row. 3 beams of sword chi, 2 from the top and 1 from the bottom. The top 2 were like the eagle's wings, and the bottom one was like the eagle's sharp claws. They flew towards the tornado, and all of a sudden, the tornado was cut into 3 pieces, turning into air and pure Yuan chi, scattering everywhere. The old late clasping Yuan realm warriors are indeed not to be underestimated. With the Star Scar sword in his hand, Yi Chen's body flashed, jumping towards Yuan Zhongbua. Die! Yuan Zhongbua laughed viciously, as that blood-red Zhen Qi eagle flew out of his body. Swoosh! The Zhen Qi shadow had been torn apart, and Yi Chen's real body was less than 10 meters away from Yuan Zhongbua. 1 sword attack. His body suddenly stood up. Yi Chen held his sword with both of his hands, and threw out a sword attack from above. Shoo! The light blue sword chi flashed once before disappearing, leaving a light blue line in the air, stretching straight towards Yuan Zhongbua. What? So fast. It was not the first time Yuan Zhongbua had seen such a fast sword chi, but it was the first time he had seen it from a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm warrior. Right then, it was obviously too late for him to avoid it. He yelled, held his sword with both of his hands, and threw out a sword attack. Boom! The sword chi and the great sword clashed, and a horrifying shockwave exploded. A 7 meters deep hole appeared on the ground, and on the edge of the hole, there were spider web-like sword marks spreading out, cutting all the plants. Yuan Zhonggua's body had been blown away by the shockwave, and his face had turned even paler. Together with his scrawny face, he looked like wrinkled white wax, which made him look horrifying. Brat, very good. I have underestimated you. But no matter how powerful you are, you will not be able to escape death. He was indeed shocked. Although he had been wounded by the sword chi before, his attacking power had not decreased by much. It was at least 80%. With 80% of his power, normal late clasping Yuan realm warriors would not be able to compete with him. Killing a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm brat would be a piece of cake. But right now, he understood that Yi Chen was the kind of martial genius who could challenge those with higher cultivation than him. Boom! Yuan Zhongbua stomped on the ground and cracked it open. He stared at Yi Chen as if he was looking at a dead man. He held his great sword with both of his hands and stabbed it into the ground. He yelled with a low voice, "One sword sky! Danger!" It had always been Yi Chen sneakily attacking his opponents, and he had never been sneakily attacked before. As Yuan Zhongbua stabbed his sword into the ground, he could feel that there was a huge amount of sword chi brewing under the ground. Once it exploded, it would be more than enough to cut him into pieces. His body flashed again and again. Yi Chen had suddenly created 3 Zhen Qi shadows. All of a sudden, the ground suddenly cracked open. Countless waist-thick blood-colored light beams shot out of the ground, easily piercing through the Zhen Qi shadows and chasing after Yi Chen's real body. With his soul power, Yi Chen managed to dodge a couple of times. How is this possible? How did he know where the sword chi was going to explode? Yuan Zhongbua opened his eyes wide. Even he could not dodge that sword attack, so he thought that Yi Chen would not be able to either. Yuan Zhongbua bit on his teeth and poured half of his Zhen Qi into his great sword, sending it into the ground. Boom! A 7 to 8 meters thick blood-colored light beam covered Yi Chen's dodging area, shooting up into the sky. Sword Chi Mountain. Holding the sword with both of his hands, Yi Chen waved down with all of his strength. All of a sudden, layers of mountain-like sword chi attacked the blood-colored light beam, cancelling out the damage. Shoo! The blood-colored light beam covered a huge area. Even though it had cancelled out most of the impact, there was still a small part of the piercing power that was able to break Yi Chen's great mysterious body protecting Zhen Qi. Right then, the great mysterious art that had been trained to the peak of its 9th realm finally showed its effect. The quality of his Zhen Qi was way higher than normal Zhen Qi. That thin layer of Zhen Qi did not disappear at all, and was still protecting Yi Chen's body. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.